Nepal government declares 4 killed during protests in Sunsari and Siraha as martyrs, also to make NCL share deal probe report public. Opposition MPs demand Prime Minister's statement on border be removed from records, also seek a clarification. Nearly 150 billion in government accounts remains unaudited. Such comes as financial records destroyed during Zenzi protests. Syria sentences its ousted leader to death in absentia. Assad, currently in Moscow, sentenced over killings and torture. Colombia declares state of emergency after 132 killed in 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Rescuers race to find survivors. And NSC's board to meet after 8-month gap. 9 agendas finalized, including 10th National Games and ENFA suspension. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama Rai and this is NTV World Prime Time News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal government has decided to declare 4 individuals killed during protests in Sunsari and Siraha districts as martyrs. Government spokesperson Sashmit Pokhrel said a cabinet meeting today held at Singadarwar declared Om Prakash Mehta, Jai Prakash Mehta and Rabindra Kumar Mehta of Sunsari and Ganesh Kumar Yadav of Siraha as martyrs. In a different context, the government has also decided to make NCL share deal probe report public.
नेपाल भित्र पैठारी वा उत्पादन हुने विद्युतबाट सञ्चालित एम्बुलेन्स र सब वाहनमा लाग्ने स्वच्छ पूर्वाधार लगानी शुल्क र मूल्य अभिवृद्धि करमा पूर्ण रूपमा छुट प्रदान गर्ने, गृह मन्त्रालयबाट सुनसरी सिराहा जिल्लामा भएको प्रदर्शनको क्रममा मृत्यु भएका मृतक व्यक्तिहरू सुनसरी जिल्लाका ओम प्रकाश मेहता, जय प्रकाश मेहता, रविन्द्र कुमार मेहता र सिराहा जिल्लाका गणेश कुमार यादवलाई शहीद घोषणा गर्ने, परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालयबाट पोर्चुगल सरकारलाई काठमाडौँमा काउन्सिलर कार्यालय, काउन्सिलर अफिस खोल्न सहमति दिने, अर्को युवा श्रम तथा रोजगार मन्त्रालयबाट वैदेशिक रोजगार बोर्डको कार्यकारी निर्देशक पदमा श्री निर्मल कुमार उप्रेती 12 लाई नियुक्ति गर्ने र अन्त्यमा पूर्व महालेखा परीक्षक श्री टङ्कमणि शर्मा दङ्गालको संयोजकत्वमा गठित एनसेलको शेयर खरिद बिक्री सम्बन्धी अध्ययन तथा छानबिन प्रतिवेदन 2080 सार्वजनिक गर्ने.
House of Representatives lawmakers have demanded Prime Minister's statements on border issues be corrected with the removal of the earlier recorded statements from the Parliament's archives. As today's session of the lower house commenced, lawmakers from the opposition parties stood from their respective seats in protest, calling for deleting the Prime Minister's statement on border matters. Bharat Kumar Swar of Nepali Congress, Chandeshwar Bandal of CPNUML, Bharat Giri of Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, Gopal Sharma of Nepali Communist Party were among those putting their views on the matter. The Speaker allowed them time to put their views on the basis of party representation. Lawmakers argued that Prime Minister's statement given before the Parliament on May 31st has yet to be clarified and corrected as well, including its withdrawal from the Parliament's records. Nearly 150 billion rupees worth of Nepal government accounts remain unaudited after financial records were destroyed in arson attacks during last September's Zenzi protests. The Office of the Auditor General said it was unable to audit the accounts of 179 government offices for the fiscal year 2024-25 because their financial records were burned during the unrest. The unaudited offices include the Office of the President, Office of the Gandaki Province Chief, Supreme Court, Public Service Commission and the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. 10 ministries inside Singadarwar, including Finance, Industry, Law, Agriculture and Home Affairs, as well as provincial ministries and local government offices, are also among those whose records were destroyed. The Auditor General said the destruction of records has created a legal and procedural challenge as existing laws require government officers to submit records of their income, expenditure and transactions for audit. The Auditor General's 63rd annual report has recommended assessing government property, records and documents destroyed in natural disasters or accidents and recommending write-offs where appropriate. The far western province of Sudur Pashchim province has entered the new fiscal year without an approved budget, 25 days after the start of the fiscal year 2026-27, raising concerns over government spending and development projects. The budget failed to pass amid disputes between Chief Minister Kamal Bahadur Shah and CPN-UML over its size, priorities and programs. UML withdrew its support on July 15, reducing the government to a minority and further delaying the budget process. The provincial government can collect revenue but lacks legal authority to spend without an approved budget, according to the Ministry of Economic Affairs. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Shah must face a vote of confidence by Thursday, leaving the province's political future and budget process uncertain. More news coming up. Do stay with us.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
You're watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. A company that was established solely to produce drugs and medicines could not even produce a tablet for years. But with government intervention, adequate budget allocation and managerial reforms, the company has made a profit in millions within a year's time. How did the government-owned Nepal Drug Limited start generating profit from being unable to even pay the salary of the employees? Sabika Shrestha brings Kamala Aryal's report.
After almost 25 years, a government entity established to produce drugs and medicines has been revived to a profit-making institution. The government-owned Nepal Drug Limited is in the spotlight after making a profit of over 30 million rupees in the last fiscal year, having previously been profitable in 2001. Though the profit amount in itself is not worth discussing, but the revival of an ailing state institution that was marred for decades by mismanagement and politicization definitely is. Under the current government's 100-point governance reform program, target of producing 98 types of free medicines through Nepal Drug Limited within 3 years was set. Accordingly, the company plans to produce 37 types of medicines within the next 2 to 3 months and eventually expand production to 98 types. However, the company did not make this profit solely from the sale of medicines. It earned profits by renting out its buildings and after deducting management and operating expenses. Similarly, the company has raw materials worth around 15 million rupees in stock. Established in 2001, the company sold medicines worth around 120 million rupees in the first year, after which it never saw profit. The attempt to revive the company started in 2016 with then Minister for Industry Navindra Raj Joshi allocating 50 million rupees in 2016. But extreme politicization of the company and massive backlog of mismanagement was the main hurdle then. The actual revival started with the company implemented the World Health Organization WHO's Good Manufacturing Practices standards last year. This has contributed to an increase in production as well as an improvement in profits.
हाम्रो आम्दानीको स्रोत भने दुईटा छ। अहिले चाहिँ एउटा आम्दानीको स्रोत मुख्य आम्दानीको स्रोत भनेको औषधि बिक्री नै हो र दोस्रो भनेको थोरै चाहिँ हामीसँग युज नभएको केही स्पेसहरू हामीले चाहिँ सरकारी कार्यालयलाई भाडामा दिएर केही आम्दानी त्यहाँबाट पनि हुन्छ। दोस्रो चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण विषय भने खर्च कटौती हो। हामीले ओभरटाइमका विषयहरू, ओभर स्टाफिङका विषयहरू सबै कटौती गर्दाखेरि त्यहाँबाट रकम भएको। र अर्को मैले भन्नै पर्ने विषय भने हामी चाहिँ सुरुदेखि नै G2G मा फोकस थियौँ। एउटा सरकारी निकायले अर्को सरकारी निकायसँग सोझै खरिद गर्न पाउने व्यवस्था छ खरिद ऐनमा। त्यसै व्यवस्थालाई टिकेर हामीले चाहिँ प्राइभेट सेक्टरबाट गभर्नमेन्ट सेक्टरमा बढी फोकस गर्यौं र अहिले हामी 90% G2G मा बेचिराखेका छौं।
The company currently produces 320,000 tablets of paracetamol every day and 48,000 units of oral rehydration solution daily. The company has been unable to operate at full capacity due to financial and human resource constraints. With the government allocating a budget of 240 million rupees this year, the company plans to increase production by adding human resource as well as equipment. Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
Nepal Nepal Mobility Expo 2026 has kicked off from today in Kathmandu's Prakriti Mandap, showcasing new vehicle models from various automobile brands. The expo, which will run until August 16, features a wide range of vehicles, from scooters and cars to buses. Participating companies have put their latest and attractive vehicle models on display, with stalls available for sales and bookings. According to organizers, visitors can learn about the latest technologies, features and facilities available in the vehicles showcased at the expo. Customers can also inspect vehicles based on their requirements and purchase or book them at the event. The expo is expected to provide consumers with first-hand information about new technologies and vehicles entering Nepali automobile market, while also strengthening interaction between automobile businesses and customers. Crimes against women and children remain a major concern in Nepal's far western district of Bajura, with 144 cases registered by the district police office over the past 3 fiscal years. Domestic violence accounted for the largest share, with 70 cases, followed by 27 cases of rape, 18 cases of polygamy and 17 cases related to gender-based violence. Police also registered cases of workplace sexual violence, child marriage, abortion and kidnapping, illegal confinement and rape. Over the past 5 years, 64 sexual crime cases involving 64 victims were registered, with adolescent girls and young women among those most affected. DSP Saileshwari Bohra said underreporting, delayed complaints, social pressure, threats, fear and inadequate victim rehabilitation remain major challenges in addressing such crimes, particularly in remote areas. Police adds delays in reporting has also resulted in the loss of evidence, making investigation and prosecution more difficult. Moving on, if I tell you that the people in Nepal, including federal capital Kathmandu, burn effigies to ward off evil spirits and ghosts in the 21st century, would you believe it? In the festival called Ghanta Karna or Gate Mangal, which falls in mid-August, the Newars of Kathmandu Valley or outside relive the centuries-old festival.
In the Kathmandu Valley, the Ghanta Karna festival, known locally as Gate Mangal, carries echoes of Nepal's ancient past. Its roots reach back to the Lichavi period around the 4th to 9th century, when early chronicles first recorded rituals of cleansing and protection against malevolent forces. The festival's myth centers on Ghanta Karna, a fierce demon whose name means bell-eared. Legends describe him as a 3-legged terror who wore bells to drown out the sacred name of Lord Shiva. His reign of fear ended when villagers, guided by divine intervention, defeated him, a victory that came to symbolize the triumph of good over evil. Each year on this very day, communities recreate this ancient drama. Effigies of the demon, woven from straw and bamboo, rise at crossroads, reminders of the chaos once feared. As dusk falls, these effigies are dragged through the streets and burned, their flames marking the purification of the valley. Historical allusions link Kontakarna's defeat to the seasonal transition between monsoon and harvest, when disease and misfortune were believed to peak. The rituals, cleansing homes, burning incense, and hanging iron charms reflect both spiritual and practical protection. For the Newar people, Kontakarna is not just myth but memory, a living tradition that binds the valley's history, faith, and folklore. As the effigy burns, it rekindles a story told for over a millennium, the enduring power of community to overcome darkness.
International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. A Syrian court has sentenced ousted dictator Bashar al-Assad to death in absentia after convicting him of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity during the country's civil war. It is the first conviction against Assad, who fled from Damascus to Moscow with his family after his regime was overthrown in December 2024, ending his family's 5-decade grip on power. Assad's cousin and the former head of political security in southern Syria's Dera province, Atif Najib, was also sentenced to death. He had been put on trial and appeared wearing a stripped prison uniform inside a cage in the courtroom as the judge read out his sentence. Syria's interim government began trying officials associated with the Assad regime, which ruled the country for more than 50 years earlier this year. Ukraine and Russia have continued striking each other overnight, with Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Moscow of using North Korean missiles. The Ukrainian president said strikes in Zaporizhia, which killed at least 6 and injured at least 19, involved ballistic missiles from Russia's ally. In Voronezh, in southern Russia, warehouses belonging to the online retailer Wild Berries were hit by Ukraine. The company, known as Russia's Amazon, has been repeatedly targeted in recent weeks. The attacks come a day after at least 13 people were killed, including one child, in Ukrainian drone strikes on the Russian Republic of Tatarstan, more than 1,100 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. At least 132 people are dead, and a state of emergency has been declared after Colombia was hit by one of its largest earthquakes in years. The death toll is likely to rise, with more fear trapped under collapsed buildings. At least 570 people have been left injured in the quakes. The magnitude 7.4 quake struck at 7:34 a.m. local time at a depth of 103 kilometers in Chaco province, according to country's geological service. It was felt across an enormous area stretching for hundreds of miles across western Colombia. Many of the deaths have been concentrated in the city of Pereira, in Colombia's coffee-growing region, with surrounding cities, and the Val del Cauca region also hit hard. The United Nations Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar has reported an escalation in Myanmar military airstrikes against civilians, saying the conflict continues to intensify. The head of the UN body told a press briefing in Geneva that schools and hospitals were among the sites being targeted, with children often among the victims.
One of the areas that we're concentrating on is because of the suffering that's happening in Myanmar, are the airstrikes that are occurring. And we note in particular there are many airstrikes targeting, hitting schools. Children are often the victims of these airstrikes, and also hospitals. So our team is collecting that evidence of where it has occurred, the kind of munitions that are used. We're looking at the command structure and how the orders would be given for such airstrikes.
More than 2,000 people have died of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, since its outbreak was declared fewer than 3 months ago. At least 1,000 of the deaths have occurred in the last 3 weeks, according to official government data, as the virus continues to spread at an alarming rate. A total of 4,381 Ebola cases across 5 provinces of DRC have been confirmed as of Tuesday, including 2,011 deaths. It is the fastest growing outbreak on record in the Central African country and is second in size only to the West African outbreak from 2014 to 16, during which 11,310 people died. The response to the outbreak has been further complicated by several factors, including strikes by unpaid health workers, misinformation, and cultural traditions. More international news and sports update coming up next. For now, a short break. Hundreds of new conscripts have arrived at Sweden's Lifeguards Regiment in Kungsänge, northwest of Stockholm, marking the start of a new military training cycle. Sweden is expanding its armed forces as it moves to strengthen national defense readiness amid heightened security concerns in Europe. More than 9,000 young men and women are expected to begin compulsory military service during the 2026-27 intake. The intake is the largest Sweden has called up in decades, reflecting a broader expansion of the country's military capacity. The new recruits will undergo basic military training as Sweden continues to build up its defense forces. Japan's space agency JAXA successfully launched its flagship H3 rocket from the Tanegashima Space Center, carrying the Michibiki 7 navigation satellite. The satellite is part of Japan's quasi-zenith satellite system, designed to strengthen the country's domestic positioning and navigation capabilities. The launch comes as Japan seeks to improve the international competitiveness and reliability of its commercial rocket industry. The H3 program suffered a setback after an earlier mission failed to place a satellite into orbit, but a subsequent launch in June was successful. The latest mission underscores Japan's efforts to establish the H3 as a dependable next-generation launch vehicle. The indigenous Maya people in Guatemala gathered at Camina Lujuyu archaeological site near Guatemala City to mark the UN's International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. The group held a traditional Thanksgiving ritual using flowers, candles, and offerings as part of prayers honoring their ancestors and cultural heritage. Participants gathered around a ceremonial fire where they burned offerings in accordance with long-standing Maya spiritual traditions. The ceremony highlighted the community's efforts to preserve indigenous customs and also maintain a connection with ancestral practices. And with that, we move on to sports update. The board of the National Sports Council NSC is set to meet on Thursday after a gap of 8 months. The board is required to meet at least twice a year, but the prolonged delay has affected several policy decisions and programs in Nepal's sports sector. The meeting is expected to decide on the date and preparations for the 10th National Games. The event has already been postponed 3 times due to budget constraints, water and accommodation issues at the main venue in Surkhet, and also uncertainty over the Karnali provincial government's role in hosting the tournament. According to NSC Member Secretary Ram Charitra Mehta, the board will also discuss the suspension of ENFA by FIFA and also recent government and NSC efforts to have the suspension lifted. The meeting will further consider procedures for grassroots sports programs and the renewal of sports associations. 9 agenda items have been prepared for the meeting. The decisions are expected to move forward several long-pending policy and administrative matters in Nepal's sports sector. US President Donald Trump has said it would be a terrible mistake if under pressure FIFA President Gianni Infantino was ousted from his position. Trump's backing followed UEFA, CONCACAF and Asian Football Confederation issuing an open letter accusing Infantino of breaking trust through deception with his aborted FIFA Forward Enterprise proposal. FFE would have meant a new company being created to manage commercial and ticketing rights of all FIFA competitions, including World Cups, with 21% sold off to a private investment company. Trump's comments mark the first time he has come out in defense of Infantino since the FFE plans came to light on 28th of July. The 2026 World Cup was co-hosted by the US, Canada and Mexico this summer. And before wrapping up, here's a reminder of the top stories this hour. Nepal government declares 4 killed during protests in Sunsari and Siraha as martyrs, also to make NCL share deal probe report public. Opposition MPs demand Prime Minister's statement on border be removed from records, also seek a clarification. Nearly 150 billion rupees in government accounts remains unaudited. This comes as financial records destroyed during Zenzi protests. Syria sentences its ousted leader to death in absentia. Assad, currently in Moscow, sentenced over killings and torture. Colombia declares state of emergency after 132 killed in 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Rescuers race to find survivors. And NSC's board to meet after 8-month gap. 9 agendas finalized, including 10th National Games and ENFA suspension. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. To join us through our social media and also get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World. Facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
हेलो
हेलो हजुर
यो मिटिङ नै गर्न पर्ने देखियो अब त्यो एक दिन लाग्छ हिँडेर पठाउन नसकिने अवस्था हो
अब सरको नम्बर टेक्स्ट गरिदिनु
हजुर हजुर
म उहाँसँग कुरा गर्छु है एउटा केस आएको छ एकदम इमर्जेन्सी सुत्केरी हुन नसकेको
अक्सिजन चाहिने हो होइन के छ म एयरपोर्टमै छु विदिन 10 मिनट्समा रिसिभ गरेर म रेडी भइहाल्छु रेडी कन्डिसनमा बस्ने भनिदिनुहोस् म यहाँबाट म्याक्सिमम 40 मिनटमा म ल्यान्ड गरिहाल्छु
NTV World र आइसियुमा अलर्ट गर्छु प्रोब्लम लेभल भनेपछि ओटीमा पनि अलर्ट गरिरहेको छु सीएसओ पनि हो कि
बागलुङ जिल्ला बुर्तिबाङकी 17 वर्षीय गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरिएको दृश्य हो यो 2 दिनसम्म सुत्केरी व्यथा लागेको र स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा प्रसूति गराउन नसकेको कारण उनलाई गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा थप सेवा प्रदानका लागि ल्याइएको हो असह्य प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर मृत्युको नजिक पुगेको दर्दनाक अवस्थामा उनको उद्धार भएको हो
हाम्रो गाउँ धेरै माथि छ अनि हाम्रो गाउँमा यस्तो विकासहरू केही पनि रहेन धेरै कम छ विकासहरू न शिक्षा पनि छैन खाने पानी पनि छैन यातायात सुविधा मात्र गएको छ अनि यातायात सुविधामा नि बाटोहरू यस्तो बिग्रने भड्कने गरेको कारणले गाडी आउन ढिला गर्यो गर त्यस्तै सानो उमेरको गर्भवती 2 जना हुनुहुन्छ उनीहरूलाई नि मलाई जस्तो नपरोस् न मेरो जस्तो बच्चा नहोस् उनीहरूलाई नि यो सुविधा पाउन् उनीहरूले भन्ने
नेपालमा भौगोलिक विकटता गरिबी तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा पहुँचको अभावका कारण समयमा प्रसूति सेवा नपाउँदा हरेक वर्ष लगभग 1400 गर्भवती महिलाहरू तथा नवजात शिशुहरूले अकालमा ज्यान गुमाउने गर्दछन् नेपालमा विशेष गरी प्रसूति कहाँ गराउने भनेर निर्णय गर्न ढिलाइ स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुग्न ढिलाइ तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुगिसकेपछि पनि उपचार पाउन ढिलाइ आदि कारणबाट मातृ मृत्यु हुने गरेको पाइएको छ नेपालको संविधानको धारा 38ले प्रत्येक महिलालाई सुरक्षित मातृत्व र प्रजनन स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी हक प्रदान गरेको छ गर्भावस्था एक संवेदनशील अवस्था हो। नेपाल सरकारले प्रसूति सेवालाई आकस्मिक स्वास्थ्य सेवा अन्तर्गत वर्गीकरण गरेको छ। नेपालमा मातृ तथा बाल मृत्युमा कमी ल्याउने उद्देश्यले आर्थिक वर्ष 2073-74 को नीति तथा कार्यक्रम मार्फत राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएको छ। नेपाल सरकारले हवाई उद्धार सम्बन्धी कार्यविधि 2075 पारित गर्यो। सोही कार्यविधि बमोजिम राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम मार्फत दुर्गम हिमाली तथा पहाडी क्षेत्रका ज्यान जोखिममा रहेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार हुन थालेको हो, जस अन्तर्गत देशभरका जिल्लाहरूमध्ये 19 जिल्लामा पूर्ण र 29 जिल्लामा आंशिक रूपमा निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्य सञ्चालनमा आयो। हालसम्म देशभरका 625 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हेलिकप्टरबाट निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ।
विगत 2073 देखि स्टार्ट भएको यो सुत्केरी तथा महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम, तर यो 2075 सालतिर आएर चाहिँ हाम्रो यो MU अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ यो महिला तथा बालबालिका मन्त्रालय र नेपाली सेना बीच भएको र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो प्रक्रियाहरू चाहिँ एक्सपिडाइट हुने अलिकति प्रभावकारी भएको छ। र हाम्रो डाटाले पनि के बताउँछ भन्दाखेरि 75 सालदेखि 76 यता हेर्ने भने हरेक रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल, नम्बर अफ रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल भइरहेको छ। 75 सालमा जम्मा 24 वटा आर्मीले गरेका छन् भने 76 सालमा आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ 80 हुँदै 160 हुँदै यसरी बढ्दो क्रम छ। यो चाहिँ हामीले यसो मेरो पर्सनल ओपिनियनमा चाहिँ के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो मन्त्रालय मार्फतबाटको जुन अवेरनेस प्रोग्राम त छँदैछ, त्यस बखत जुन हाम्रो यो नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टर चाहिँ गाउँ गाउँमा पुग्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ किन हेलिकप्टर आएछ भन्ने कुराको चासोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो गाउँ गाउँमा चाहिँ एउटा अवेरनेस हो। ए हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ सुत्केरी महिला रेस्क्यु गरेको छन् भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो हेलिकप्टरको आवाज र त्यो हेलिकप्टर त्यो गाउँमा घुमेको हिसाबले चाहिँ त्यहाँको स्थानीयहरू पनि अहिले यो सम्बन्धी चाहिँ अवेर हुँदै आएका छन् र यसले चाहिँ एउटा पोजिटिभ मेसेज गएको छ यो हेलिकप्टरले रेस्क्युले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ। हजुर, मोड अफ अपरेसन नै अलिकति फरक हुन्छ। हाम्रो जुन मेन्टल स्टेट हुन्छ, सकेसम्म समयमा नै पुगौँ र समयमा नै सुत्केरी महिलाहरूलाई चाहिँ नजिकको हस्पिटलमा पुर्याइदिउँ भन्ने हाम्रो मान्छे रहेको हुन्छ।
संघीय सरकारको उक्त हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएसँगै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले पनि प्रशासकीय ऐन 2075 को दफा 2 ले दिएको अधिकारको प्रयोग गरी जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती र सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि 2080 लाई कार्यान्वयनमा ल्याएको छ। सोही कार्यविधि अनुसार हाल गण्डकी प्रदेशमा गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन कार्यक्रम अन्तर्गत निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार सेवा सञ्चालनमा आएको छ। ठूलो महत्वाकांक्षा र प्राथमिकताका साथ सञ्चालनमा ल्याइएको यस कार्यक्रम मार्फत हालसम्म 56 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयको टोली छायाङ्कनका निम्ति धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकातर्फ अघि बढेको दृश्य हो यो। टोली जति अघि बढ्दै जान्छ त्यति नै सुन्दर प्राकृतिक छटाहरू देखा पर्दै जान्छन्। अनुपम सौन्दर्य तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा, प्राकृतिक मनमोहक दृश्य अनि दुर्गम बस्तीहरू, यस्तै अद्भुत अनुभूतिहरूसँग रमाउँदै टोली ताकम गाउँ पुग्दछ।
असारे काम हुँदा मात्रै अब छरिने हैन, चराउने राम्रोसँग अनि पाली नदीतिर जानु भएन हैन।
हालसम्म यस धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाबाट 7 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ र यस ताकम गाउँबाट मात्रै 3 जना गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरी आमा र शिशुको ज्यान जोगाउन गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सफल भएको छ। यसै महत्वलाई आत्मसात गर्दै धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाले आफ्ना 7 वटै वडाहरूमा एक वटा हेलिप्याडको निर्माण समेत गरिसकेको छ। टोलीको गन्तव्य भने धवलागिरीको अर्को गाउँ मुदी रहेको थियो। चिसो हुस्सु र कुहिरो छिचोल्दै भीर पाखाको रोमाञ्चक तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा गर्दै टोली साँझको समयमा आफ्नो गन्तव्यमा पुग्दछ। केही थकान त केही उत्साह साथमा लिएर पुगेको टोलीलाई मुदी गाउँका स्थानीयले गरेको सत्कारले थप ऊर्जाशील बनाइदिन्छ। गाउँमा आफ्ना छोरी बुहारीलाई बचाउन मद्दत गर्ने मन्त्रालयका अधिकारीहरूलाई स्वागत गर्न पाउँदा उनीहरूको खुसीको सीमा थिएन। पाहुनाको स्वागतको लागि कोही मकै भुट्नमा व्यस्त देखिन्थे भने कोही सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमको आयोजनामा खटिएका थिए। मगर जातिको बाहुल्यता रहेको धौलागिरी हिमालको काखमा रहेको यस मुदी गाउँमा सामान्य खेतीपाती र पशुपालन नै आय आर्जनको प्रमुख स्रोत रहेको छ। यहाँ एउटा स्वास्थ्य चौकी अवस्थित छ। यसै स्वास्थ्य चौकीमा मुदीका गर्भवती महिलाहरूले प्रसुति सेवा प्राप्त गर्दै आएका छन्। प्रसङ्ग 2077 माघ 18 गतेको हो। यहाँकी स्थानीय महिला मीना पुनलाई 2 दिनसम्म प्रसव पीडाले च्याप्दछ। कमजोर भई लगभग बेहोस हुने अवस्थामा पुगेकी उनलाई समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा प्रसुति गराई सकुशल आमा र शिशुलाई घर फर्काइदिन्छ। यिनै मीना पुन र उनको परिवारलाई भेट्न यो टोली मुदी पुगेको हो। हवाई उद्धार गरी जन्मिएकी उनकी छोरी अहिले हिँडडुल गर्ने भइसकेकी छिन्।
चचाइरहेको थिएँ अनि डेट पनि एकवटा पछाडि थियो। अनि त्यस्तै हामी गोदमा बसेँ। सासु ससुरा बुढाबुढी घरमै बस्नुहुन्थ्यो। अनि पेट दुख्नु थाल्यो है बिहान। मलाई त त्यत्तिकै दुख्यो होला भने थाहा भएन। अनि फेरि पछाडि ढाड पनि दुख्ने अगाडि पेट पनि दुख्ने एउटा व्यथा लागेको होला भन्ने सोचेँ मैले। बुढालाई चाहिँ भनेन। अनि त्यस्तो गर्दा झन्झन दुख्न लाग्यो। यहाँ हेल्पोसमा बोकेर ल्याए चाहिँ 2 घन्टा मिल्थ्यो तर बोक्नै मिलेन है। यसरी बोक्दा पनि पेट दुख्ने है पछाडि बोक्न ढाड दुख्ने भएर बोक्नै मिलेन। झन् आत्तिन आयो के म त मर्छु मेरो बच्चा नि जन्माउन पाउँदैन जस्तो लाग्यो। अनि हेलिकप्टर बोलाएर सिधै पोखरा लगेर गण्डकी हस्पिटलमा हेलिकप्टरमा चढेपछि बाँचिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ आश लाग्यो। मेरो बच्चालाई जन्म दिन्छु यो संसार देखाउँछु भन्ने पनि आश लाग्यो। दुःख पाएँ बेसरी। अब यस्तो दुःख कसैलाई नहोस्। यस्तो दुर्गम ठाउँहरूमा महिलालाई कति गाह्रो हुन्छ। यसरी उद्धार गरिदिनु भयो। मेरो ज्यान पनि बच्यो बच्चाको ज्यान पनि बच्यो।
धन्यवाद सरकार। मेरो बारीले मेरो नातिनीले बचाइदिनु भयो।
दर्दनाक प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर राज्यसँग जीवनका लागि गुहार माग्नुपर्ने त्रासको अझै पनि अन्त्य भएको छैन। त्यसैले मीना पुन झैं जोखिममा परेका अन्य गर्भवती महिलाहरूको निरन्तर सेवामा गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार अग्रसर देखिएको पाइन्छ। सुत्केरी भएको 45 दिनभित्र कुनै समस्या देखिए नजिकको अस्पताल पुर्याएर निशुल्क उपचार गराउने प्रावधान समेत यस कार्यक्रममा रहेको छ। छोटो समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेशको यो हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रमले दिएको प्रतिफल उदाहरणीय बन्न सकेको छ। नेपालमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूका निम्ति यो एउटा बाँच्ने विकल्पको प्रमुख माध्यम बनेको छ। यस्ता प्रभावकारी र नवीनतम प्रयासहरू नेपाल लगायत नेपाल जस्ता कम आय भएका अन्य विकास उन्मुख राष्ट्रहरूका निम्ति पनि प्रभावकारी सिद्ध हुन सक्नेछन् भन्ने विश्वास लिन सकिन्छ। तत्काल हवाई उद्धारका लागि मन्त्रालयको हटलाइन टेलिफोन मार्फत प्रत्यक्ष सम्पर्कमा आएका वा स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाको सिफारिस पत्रका आधारमा सम्बन्धित जिल्लाको प्रमुख जिल्ला अधिकारीको समन्वयमा सूचना प्राप्त हुनासाथ जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिला र नवजात शिशुको उद्धार गर्ने गरिएको छ।
गुड वेदर भएको बेला नो प्रब्लम, हामी डाइरेक्ट जान सक्छौँ होइन। ब्याड वेदर भएको बेला अलिक घुम्नुपर्ने हुन्छ, एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लाग्छ। त्यो लाग्ने समयमा बिरामीलाई केही होला भन्ने हामीलाई चिन्तित पुर्याउँछ। त्यसले हाम्रो उद्देश्य नै टाइममा बिरामीलाई हस्पिटल ल्याउने र यथाशीघ्र चाहिँ स्वास्थ्य लाभ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एसिस्टेन्ट हो डक्टरकोमा पुर्याउँ भन्ने नै हाम्रो इन्टेन्सन हुन्छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश यो स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयबाट उहाँहरूसँग मेरो डाइरेक्ट नम्बर छ, सेल नम्बर, उहाँहरूले डाइरेक्ट कल गर्नुहुन्छ। कल आउने बित्तिकै यो सेन्सिटिभ रेस्क्यु फ्लाइट भएकोले चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ इमिडिएटली अरू टुरिस्ट फ्लाइटहरूलाई साइडमा राखेर भए पनि हामीले रेस्क्यु फ्लाइटलाई चाहिँ बेसी प्रिफरेन्स दिन्छौँ। कोअर्डिनेसन चाहिँ उहाँहरूसँग राम्रो हुन्छ हामीसँग।
अस्पतालको भूमिकाको कुरा गर्नुपर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मन्त्रालयबाट चाहिँ यहाँ कन्ट्याक्ट हुन्छ। त्यसमा विशेष गरेर हाम्रो अस्पतालमा इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज चाहिँ फोकल पर्सनको रूपमा तोकिनु भएको छ र उहाँहरू मन्त्रालयबाट फोन आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको ल्यान्डलाइन नम्बर छ हाम्रो र इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्जको नम्बर छ। कुनै पनि नम्बरमा चाहिँ उहाँले कन्ट्याक्ट गरेर यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ भनेर इन्फर्मेसन दिनुहुन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ जो फोकल पर्सन हुनुहुन्छ उहाँले चाहिँ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ एक्टिभेट हुन्छ। गाइनेकोलोजिस्ट हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई चाहिँ खबर गर्नुहुन्छ, म्याटर्निटी वार्डको इन्चार्जलाई खबर गर्नुहुन्छ र आइसियू चाहिन सक्छ कि भन्ने अवस्थामा अलर्ट नाम्नको लागि मात्रै भए पनि आइसियूमा बेड छ कि छैन, यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ अनि कसैलाई खाली गर्ने सक्ने खालके अवस्था छ कि छैन भन्नको लागि पनि त्यो खालके माहौल चाहिँ क्रिएट हुन्छ। उहाँहरूले चाहिँ त्यसरी एक्टिभेट हुनुहुन्छ र त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज अथवा फोकल पर्सन थ्रु नै हेलिप्याडमा चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ खटाइन्छ जसले चाहिँ पेसेन्टलाई रिसिभ गर्नुहुन्छ।
सन् 2016 को जनसाङ्ख्यिक तथा स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी सर्वेक्षणका अनुसार नेपालमा प्रति 1 लाख गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी मध्ये 239 जनाले ज्यान गुमाउने गरेका थिए। पछिल्लो तथ्याङ्क अनुसार हाल यो संख्या घटेर 151 मा झरेको पाइएको छ। सोही सर्वेक्षण अनुसार यसरी उल्लेख्य संख्यामा महिला मृत्युदर घट्नुका कारणहरूमध्ये गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन अन्तर्गतको निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम समेतको महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका रहेको मान्न सकिन्छ। नेपाल सरकारले सन् 2030 सम्ममा मातृ मृत्युदर प्रति लाख जीवित जन्ममा 70 मा झार्ने लक्ष्य लिएको छ। यस लक्ष्यलाई पूरा गर्नको निमित्त स्थानीय तहमा दक्ष जनशक्ति सहितको पर्याप्त स्रोत साधन युक्त बर्थिङ सेन्टरको स्थापनाको आवश्यकता देखिन्छ। यस बाहेक हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि बमोजिम नाइट भिजन सुविधा सहितको निशुल्क एयर एम्बुलेन्स सेवा सञ्चालनमा ल्याउनु, उद्धारका लागि समन्वय र सञ्चार प्रणालीलाई व्यवस्थित र छिटो छरितो बनाई आपतकालीन स्वास्थ्य सेवाको टोलीलाई सतर्क र तयारी अवस्थामा राख्नु पनि त्यत्तिकै जरुरी देखिएको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेशको कुल 85 वटै स्थानीय तहमा कम्तीमा 1 वडा 1 हेलिप्याड भएको खण्डमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जीवन रक्षाको लागि यो निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम वरदान साबित हुने कुरामा दुई मत छैन।
trimmed mustache, mirrored shades, and an unmistakable smile, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa climbs a steep hill in Khumbu. It's May 1991. After 38 years, he's returning to meet his old climbing partner, Sir Edmund Hillary, the man with whom he first stood atop the world.
Tenzing, good to see you. My goodness. Well, yeah. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Nice to meet you. Yeah. Long time, Tenzing. Yes, Tenzing. Did you have a good walk up? Oh, very well. Good. Fine.
Sagarmatha, head of the sky. Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world, or simply Mount Everest. A mountain with many names, yet for generations it meant only one thing: the impossible. Since the 1920s, climbers from around the world had tried to conquer it. Many never returned. Avalanches, storms, frostbite, the mountain refused them all. Then on 29 May 1953, Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa of Nepal stood together on top of the world. The world woke up to the headline, "Everest is conquered."
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news. Mount Everest has been conquered by members of the British expedition. The news reached London in a message to the Times. It said that Mr. E.P. Hillary, a New Zealander, and Tenzing Bhutia, a Sherpa, had reached the summit last Friday, May 29th.
Among the 35 men in the team that made history was Kancha Sherpa, the last surviving member of that expedition. He passed away in October 2025. He remembered the climb as hard but joyful.
Samulong bona हामीले सुनेको छ हामी के काममा जाने त्यहाँ जाने कामै थिएन अब यहाँको मान्छेहरू चाहिँ तल लोबेसम्म बस्छ त्यहाँबाट उता हामी जाने कामै छैन अनि तेन्जिङहरू त हेरेर आएर बु माथि एभरेस्ट चाहिँ हामीले थाहा पायो नभए हाम्रो गाउँै भए पनि हामीले के जाने कामै छैन गाह्रो भयो हजुर मलाई गाह्रो त के जानु नस्याङ्ने के अब कहिले पनि जस्तो काम गरेको छैन त्यो पनि त बारी बोकेर त खरबासमा जानु पर्यो यहाँ हातमा डोरहरू समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ आइसक समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ बारी थुप्रो बोकेर जानु पर्यो अनि त साँगोमा जानु पर्यो अनि माथि जुरेर जानु पर्यो अनि गाह्रो त एकदम गाह्रो छ तर यस्तो काम पाएर धेरै खुसी भयो नि
Hillary loved Khumbu and Khumbu loved Hillary. He dedicated his life for the region and its people. In the decades that followed, Everest became a symbol of determination, not just for men, but for everyone who dared to dream. In 1993, Pasang Lamu Sherpa became the first Nepali woman to stand on the summit. Her journey was marked by courage and struggle.
पैसा हुनु पर्यो यसमा आफूले लगानी गरेर खर्च गर्नु पर्यो रोयल्टी तिर्नु पर्यो अब आफूले सँगै लानु गुरुबहरुलाई चाहिँ खानाहरु हुनु पर्यो लुगाहरु एकै महिनाको पैसाहरु हुनु पर्यो त्यसकारणले चाहिँ यो पैसाले नै पैसाकै समस्याले गर्दाखेरि पनि अगाडि बढ्न नसकेको हो तर यहाँ एउटा ट्रेनिङको महिलाहरुलाई चाहिँ यो माउन्टेन ह्याली क्षेत्रमा एउटा ट्रेनिङको व्यवस्था बन्दोबस्त पनि त्यति साह्रो राम्रो छैन.
For some, the climb is a personal test. For others, it's a way to uplift an entire nation. Of the many record holders from Nepal, Apa Sherpa, who's also known as the Super Sherpa, had reached the summit 21 times before announcing his retirement.
म यो रेकर्डको लागि चल्ने भए त
म आज पनि चढ्न सकिन्छु नि तर म रेकर्डको लागि होइन मैले हाम्रो देशको लागि हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि माथि पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नो पेसा भनौँ न अब पुरा नै हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि भनौँ पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नै पेसाको हो तर त्यो लास्टमा म चढिरह्यो भने त्यो त तपाईँको उस जस्तो देखिन्छ कि कम्पिटिसन जस्तो देखिन्छ कि मलाई त्यो मेरो चाहिँ नि त्यो कम्पिटिसन होइन र म राष्ट्रको लागि हो त्यसैले मैले अब 2011देखि मैले सन्यास लिएर अपसेवा फाउन्डेसन खोलेर शिक्षा सबभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ के छ हाम्रो शिक्षा एजुकेसन छैन भने हामीलाई धेरै गाह्रो छ मैले खैराहरूले पनि भन्दैछु विदाउट एजुकेसन वी हेभ नो चोइस एजुकेसन इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ त्यसपछि हाम्रो वातावरण त्यसैले हाम्रो नेपालको लागि म त्यो दुईवटालाई जोडेर मैले सपोर्ट गरिरहेको छु
Over time, the story of Everest has changed. Each climbing season now brings not only adventurers, but also income and impact. In 2024, Everest generated nearly 676 million Nepali rupees, almost 80% of Nepal's total mountaineering revenue. The fee for foreign climbers has been revised now to $15,000 each. So far, more than 8,000 summiteers of different nationalities have climbed Mount Everest. Many more aspire to reach the top of the world. To ease the pressure on Everest and promote other regions, the government of Nepal has opened 97 peaks that range from 5,970 meters to 7,123. One can climb these mountains in the Western Karnali and Sudur Pashchim provinces without having to pay royalties. As voices increase for the need of having summited at least one mountain over 7,000 meters in the country before bidding for the Everest, these 97 peaks are likely to be training ground for summiteers. With success, Everest has also seen a heavy burden. In 2023 alone, more than 75 tons of waste were collected from the Everest region. This included plastic, metal, oxygen bottles, and even human waste. The mountain has also been plagued by fatal climbing attempts.
यसपालिको भन्दाखेरि त अब लास्ट इयरको पनि मरेको लासहरू अझै पनि छन् माथि बाटोमै पनि त्यो लासहरू देखे हामीले यो 8,300-400 मिटरमा बालकुनीमा त्यो लासहरू पनि अझै भइरहेछ र फोहोरहरू पनि सजकल पनि टन्नै फोहोरहरू छ पहिला हामीले अब शहरमा त आरओ सङ्घले पनि 2011 मा सफा त गर्यो त्यत्रो फोहोर ल्याए 10 टन फोहोर पनि धेरै नै ल्याएको त्यतिखेर त्यति ल्याउँदा पनि अझै फोहोरहरू चाहिँ एकदमै छ भनौँ न टाइममा अब राज्यले चाहिँ किन त्यसलाई चाहिँ अलिकति व्यवस्थापन के अब कुन हिसाबले हुन्छ त्यो फोहोरलाई अलिकति तल ल्याएर अलिकति सफा गर्यो भने एभरेस्टको लागि अलिकति विदेशीहरुको लागि अलि राम्रो होला कि भन्ने चाहिँ हामीलाई लागेको छ
Sagarmatha has taught the world to dream higher, but now she asks us to care deeper. The greatest climb perhaps isn't upward, but inward. "70 years since the first ascent, much has changed, but one thing has and will remain constant. Everest has and will continue to stand tall and keep challenging human abilities."
Welcome to Creative Forum with me, Shivani Thapa Bosnet. In our last episode, we spoke of the soul of the image. Today, we look at the machinery behind it. How do stories across borders? How does a social media algorithm change the way a family in Kathmandu or Paris sees themselves? Joining me today are two masters of the global narrative. Mr. Wang Buthao, a veteran journalist and the deputy director of CGTN French, who has captured stories in over 30 countries. And Dr. Jennifer Kuhl, a visual anthropologist from the University of Southern California, who decodes the complex intersection of culture and technology. You are here in Kathmandu for NIF 2026, the Nepal International Film Festival, right? A city and then this prestigious film festival, both full of stories. Could you share what has captivated you most since your arrival here?
First, because the weather here, the climate is very delightful. Because coming from Beijing, in this season is normally very cold. But now here, I feel very warm, like 20 degrees. It's not hot either. And the air is fresh, the sky is blue, so the breeze, the spring breeze feels very comfortable. And secondly is the people here in Kathmandu are incredibly hospitable. This is really, I don't know if it's because I'm Chinese, you're receiving a special treatment, or if so, I feel very honored. If you treat everyone like this, I have to say that you are truly a nation of hospitality, and I have to congratulate you on that. I can give you several examples. When we came out from the airport yesterday in the minibus, which took us to the opening ceremony venue, we saw some school girls sitting in a roadside shop. They waved and smiled at us. That really gave us much warmness in our hearts. And as soon as we arrived to the opening ceremony venue, and people came to offer us colorful kata scarves. And then during the opening ceremony, our names are repeatedly cited by the host and as a distinguished guest, and we feel really very, very flattered. And now it's just the second day, and I'm already invited here. It's just amazing.
Right, hospitality is encoded in our culture, right? So for us, guests are synonymous to gods. Dr. Kuhl, what does your experience say so far of Kathmandu and NIF?
Yeah, I've been to Nepal before last, but it's almost 37 years since I last was here, and it just was so heartwarming to see. It's very modern, but it is echoing the traditional architecture of Nepal with the wooden slats and just sort of the proportions, and to see that everywhere, including at our hotel. It's nice to see Kathmandu is modernized, but it hasn't lost the look of the Kathmandu that I remember from the 80s.
Do you have any recollections from back then? Because as far as I know, you're very small, and I could see those very beautiful pictures with your parents.
That was when I was first here, but they came back. They were stationed here again in 1980. So 86, I came here when I was in college. I remember going to Indrachok to get beads. And I remember a famous painter, Tanka painter, Bibi Thapa, and seeing his studio. So yes, I have many memories from the 80s, and it is much different, bigger buildings. The idea to have Wi-Fi everywhere, but it's very rare to have all this level of modernity alongside still very distinctive Nepali flavor. Atmosphere, the looks, the art, all of this. I went near our hotel is the Garden of Dreams, and it's just very beautiful. So all of those are positives, and then I kind of laugh because I'm still, having grown up abroad, I don't often feel American, but in Nepali traffic, I feel very American because it's scary to me. And it's not just driving on the different side of the road. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, crossing the street.
The only way to escape is to live here for some time unless you get used to it.
Yeah.
Over 22 years, Mr. Batao, you've traveled across continents, right?
Yes.
From Europe to Africa, America, and Asia, of course. So in your experience, what makes a story truly resonate across cultures?
I think it's humanity. This is the most important thing for me in any kind of creation. Actually, when we talk about cinema today, we can see that more and more modern technology are used, and people start to use AI too. But for me, the most important part in cinema is really the side of the humanity. Is the story. Is the story which really touched the heart of people. Anyway, for me, if I go to a cinema to see a movie, I don't go there to see all these special effects or things like this. I go there for a story which will touch me. So I think whatever the form of the art that you create, the most important part is to show the humanity.
From an anthropological lens, how do a cultural context, especially the social norms and technology, help shape the way stories are received, and how do you think they should be told?
I guess the first, it's the question that you would ask my colleague Batao here about. I think there are certain human universals, and certainly we were one of the categories I'm on the jury for is national shorts and national documentaries. So things like family, as you say, things you can identify with, but the sort of the idea of people suffering and longing for something. If you can relate, we can all relate on that sense. I don't think technology changes the what. It changes the how. Yes. But the essence, the story, the soul, and something that people can connect to, that's got to be the heart of it. And sometimes it's harder with cross-cultural, but I don't really think so, because I think oftentimes when something is abstracted and it's not familiar, then you can see the humanity instead of knowing, oh, it's those people, right? To have a little distance can actually humanize.
Can you share a story from your travels, both of you, or from your research maybe, that stayed with you because it bridged cultural divides?
April 1st, I went to Bodha. Because I had my parents to commemorate. Both had passed away, and they both loved Nepal. So I went there. There was the Tamil Jatra festival to honor passed away relatives, and everybody there was so kind. I was putting the offering in the wrong place, and somebody who she saw me and she just took my hand and put like that, and there was no. I didn't know what. She was speaking Nepali or another language. She didn't try. We didn't use words. She just gently corrected me, and the eye contact. So that was really quite nice, because it was quite crowded, and you have to go up and down stairs. And I didn't have fear of falling or just performing the puja wrong, because people just help you be right. So that's sort of this cross-cultural feeling. Which, yes, I think it's definitely in the Nepali spirit, and also because there's so many tourists, you have a lot of people who are lost and don't know how to do it the right way. So the patience was much appreciated.
It was a travel that from the Casablanca in Morocco to the capital of Rabat, and I don't remember why. There was a train actually which took me to the capital city of Rabat, but I didn't know why, but I still remember that I rented a car because maybe it's because it was too late at night and there was no more train, so I had to go to the other city, which was the capital city, to cover a very important event. So I had a car, a private car, with a guy, a local guy, who spoke only Arabic.
Okay.
And I spoke at that time Chinese, English, and French, but not Arabic. So I still remember, and he drove the car nearly 2 hours from Casablanca to Rabat. And all the way along, I was quite scared because he drove the car always in the absolute darkness. I was really very worried. Sometimes I told myself, will he take me to a place and then kill me and kidnap me? Because we couldn't communicate between us. He couldn't understand me, I couldn't understand him. But I just showed him where I shall head to. And still, you know, without the possibility to communicate in our language, still we try to make us understood by gestures, or sometimes we play a piece of music, then he tried to, you know, get out some words in French and things like this. And we had a wonderful night together, finally, because actually to lower his cost, he didn't pick the highway. He chose a very small, a narrow way, which is even darker. So I was really, really scared. But finally, everything, you know, ended very well. He took me to the much brighter city of Rabat, and I paid him. And this memory, I think, will still today, every time when I think of my career, I can think of this guy.
So the next time you decide to go back, you'll want to learn Arabic.
Yes, probably, yes.
Dr. Jennifer, in scenarios like this world is huge, beautiful, so much diversity. How do you see the role of cinema bringing the world together?
Certainly sharing stories, learning, you know, that things can look very different on the surface, but that the actual emotions that we all share as one species. Obviously, emotions are shaped by culture, but beneath that, I mean, as I try to teach in my introductory class, that there are very small set of basic needs, and culture is many varieties of ways, endless varieties of ways to solve those needs. So we have families because humans are born helpless. They can't just raise themselves, but there are many different arrangements of families, and that's that sort of thing. So I think cinema certainly was the, you know, sort of the defining art form of the 20th century. It's become something different in the 21st century. I remember, since media and technology is sort of my field, when new media, and I worked in new media for so long, I used to joke, how can they keep calling it new media? Because I've been working in it for over, you know, this many years. Oh, well, you know, cinema, that's linear cinema. It's so passé. We're going to be non-linear. And I just sat quietly, because it's like saying, well, now we have computers. Who needs poetry? You need poetry as much or even more. So we see that people don't want to be interactive. You want to go and sit down and have a story told to you. Cinema is already interactive because you are the reacting person, and no two people see the same film. That's why I'm really looking forward. We have our jury meeting later, and I'm not looking forward to arguing for what I think, but learning what films other people saw the same film, they saw different things. So for me, I mean, cinema is has a new place in the world of social media and YouTube and this kind of thing. But there was a lovely a lovely film made, and actually it was connected to Nepal. It was a Tibetan monk returning. But the name of that film is the name of the film is "Films Are Dreams That Wander in the Light of Day," and that's, I think, to me, my favorite movie title ever. So we can dream together, what could be more intimate?
Right.
I think the biggest magic of cinema is the power of image. I think, for example, this time I took with me my first documentary as a producer, which tells the story of 6 children in the Xizang autonomous region in China. And these, students, they go to boarding schools, and we work with the French director, Jacques Malater, and he was, in every scene he shot, and he communicated, he lived with these children and exchanged with them, and there were many language barriers, because not only between Chinese and French, because the director is a French guy. He doesn't speak neither Chinese or Tibetan. So there was a lot of language barriers. But finally, when you go to see this documentary, the final version, and you will see that many of the emotional scenes that we don't need language, because it's just direct. It just goes, it touches the very profound part of your heart. For example, with these 6 kids, every time in the end of each episode, there is a scene of farewell. I think this is just universal. People know that someone who cries with you for some time and then have to leave you. And at that time, no need any language. People just see, the sadness.
Yes.
It's just, I think this is the greatest magic of cinema.
Yes. On the topic of technology, though, something you said spurred the recollection. One thing that technology is unmitigatedly great at is the new ease of subtitles, right?
Yes,
and that you can have the separate SRT files. And I mean, it used to be very difficult to burn it in, a cost. So the fact that people can just take a transcript and you show the same film and drop in the separated text file is beautiful. The explosion on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of those OTT streaming services in the US, now we can see global cinema in the US.
Exactly.
And the barriers are down, and I credit foreign cinema and other things of technology. People used to, and when I was in film school, people used to say, subtitles. You go to those foreign French films, I don't go to read, read. And now people are happy to read, and people even in their own homes with English programs put on those subtitles. So that, I think, people who, the purists who want only image may be not happy, but it makes us feel we can all
exactly. Language in today's world is not a barrier at all, because and thanks to forums like NTV, Cannes, and all the film festivals, and of course the subtitles, we have to be thankful to them, because today in Nepal, if you talk about Nepal, young generations, they know Korean, they know Turkish, they know Iranian language by virtue of the subtitles and the films that they watch on Netflix and on all the portals, right? Staying with technology, Dr. Jennifer, you've studied ethnographic storytelling, right? And media ecology very, very extensively. How do you think has social media changed the way communities narrate their own stories?
That's a very big question. Certainly, it doesn't replace. When you talked about ecologies, I think it's really important that one thing doesn't replace the other. That we still have pencils and pens; they come in handy just because there are computers. So I think social media is a different thing. I don't know that it's all about community, because I always think, how do you define community? It's a very broad. There's a lot of literature about that. Even thinking about the Max Weber, the famous sociologist, talked about the community of the streetcar, or just as I was talking at Boda, that's the community of people that are going to make the observance. It can be fleeting. It doesn't have to be permanent or that kind of thing. But I think social media, it can compete in a lot of ways, but then also connecting, so people can hype is one word for it, but also say, hey, share is another word for it. So it's much more tricky in terms of getting the word out. And there are some, as a scholar, you're often critical to worry about sort of the competition for attention. We still have the same number of hours in the day. We still have the same nervous system that was really built, for Neolithic times, thousands of years ago. And so I think that there are dangers. But as long as, going back to the opening ceremony yesterday, they were talking about future forward, but keeping memories. And so I think that there's that give and take with the question you asked me in terms of the effect of social media on cinema. Some positives, but also we have to, with our eyes open, see that there can also be challenges.
Does this present any sort of risks on the authenticity of the stories that are coming?
Of course. There's a huge risk. as I work for CGTN, and I can tell you that this documentary that I brought here was my first documentary. During my first 20 years of career, I worked mainly on journalism. For example, in the journalism, we are strictly forbidden to use any kind of AI technology. Anyway, in the TV channel where I work, there are very strict, code to forbid this, because or else people don't know if it's true or false. But I think for those creation parts, I think we can use this kind of new technology or social media. I think is rather beneficial. It can bring us a lot of powerful and efficient tools to, for example, to not only lower the cost but also increase the efficiency of our production. I think on this side it's a good thing. But for me, I just followed several days ago, the French annual cinema festival, which is César, the French César. I see that in France, people also, these people who really have a strong love for the traditional cinema, when they are on the stage, they all called for people to get back to the cinema to see the big screens. I think this is, sometimes I feel a little bit sad too, because I think maybe with the social media, people spend our days, lying in bed and just scrolling, these short videos. Sometimes it's a little bit sad, especially for those who make cinema of great quality, and they spend their whole life to produce, high quality and very good movies, and then sometimes people don't go to the cinema. They go there, less. And sometimes people just lie on their bed and they use a platform like Netflix, and they can see any movies they want. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe for the TV, or not only for cinema, for the TV, the profession that I execute is the same thing, because people don't watch TV anymore. They watch TV shows, they use their phone.
Yeah.
So
right here, I would want to ask, as a producer and as a journalist working in a transnational, television, yes, how do you even, balance this immediacy and spectacle of global media?
We don't have the choice, because most of the people now use an iPhone. We use smartphone. So our strategy is now much more oriented to all these digital, side. Yeah. When we create, when we do something, make a report, sometimes, the first platform that we broadcast is not our TV screen, it's the platform of social media. So this is what we do to, take this challenge, because we don't have the choice, because when nobody opens their TV, it's I don't know, it's a little bit sad, but it's the trend. No one can stop that trend. I don't know what shall we do. But maybe if you see these things from another side, maybe it's a good thing, because there are still people who go to cinema.
Let's talk craft here, Dr. Batao, Mr. Batao. You launched the reality TV show. I'm not sure if I would pronounce this right, the name of the Français, right? And you also produced documentaries like Learners from the Top of the World, and then there is China, Africa 2035, yes, really interesting pieces. Now, what exactly do you look for when deciding which stories to tell and which stories will travel, beyond borders? How do you even decide that?
For any kind of creation work, the most important part is the humanity side. For the documentary that I brought here, for example, as I said, we showed the lives of 6 children of Xizang, 14 years old. And I, as the chief producer of this project, I went there only once during the beginning of the project. And then I had a lot of work to do, in the headquarters. So it's the executive team who went there during nearly 2 months. It's really tough work. But finally, when I see the movie, the most touching part of this documentary is really all these emotions that are shown here. Especially for me, it's even more special because I have myself a daughter of 14 years old. So when I see these boys and girls of 14 years old on the plateau of Xizang, actually I found out that through the camera of Jack Malata that they are actually like my daughter, exactly the same thing. So it touched me a lot.
Dr. Jennifer, from a filmmaking perspective, especially in ethnographic storytelling or work, how do you decide between observation and narrative intervention? I mean, how do you stay true to your subjects while crafting a very compelling story?
Well, I mean, in terms of the trend of ethnographic cinema, we have for the last 20 years at least moved towards more participatory rather than extractive filmmaking where there's the separation of people on either side of the camera. Now it is seen as more collaborative because that's always how it has been. It's just to acknowledge that.
In your opinion, what do you think is the single most important principle the young storytellers, whether it is journalists or whether it's filmmakers, should hold on to today?
Don't forget the past. I mean, I am not as rosy-colored about the technology, perhaps, as we are sounding, especially when I hear that you're saying the same thing that I hear out, is that we don't have a choice. And then I'm always worried about, well, then where is this power? Because if it's not the power from the people, then where is it coming from? But I do have a lot of faith if you don't forget the past, because this has been the gift of humanity is that we don't have to discover everything for ourselves. We have from previous generations, from 200,000 years, there's been humanity. We've been writing things and teaching things, a little bit less than that time, but particularly in a country like Nepal with such a distinct and rich and diverse cultural heritage. Yes, your grandmother, your parents might not understand social media, but they know things worth knowing. I would say that to the youth. Give us some grace, as my students say, and listen to the old people, because they won't be here forever.
Your 2 cents for young filmmakers and storytellers.
I learned a lot from the French director Jacques Malatat. I think he is a documentary filmmaker, but he is a sort of also like a sort of anthropologist, because his favorite topic is just about human history, is about these minorities, living conditions around the world. So I learned a lot from him. Jacques Malatat is a great documentary filmmaker in France. He's even rewarded the National Order, of the Knight of the National Order. So I think the key of the success is he really respects the people. I think this is very important. I can give you an anecdote. In one of the shooting, a girl in the second episode had a fight with her father because maybe she made some mistakes in her homework, and her father blamed her, and then the little girl, she got a temper. She elbowed her father, and then in the final version, after that, the picture moved to another scene. It's like it's finished. But my team told me that actually what happened that day is that the fight didn't calm down after that, even got bigger. And the girl, she ran away, and she hid herself in a corner of that village. And my team told us that actually their camera wasn't turned off. They recorded everything here. And our Chinese team said to ourselves that this might be a very good dramatic scene, that if we showed it out, it could be fantastic. It can increase the ratings. But finally, the director, he decided to cut it because he thinks that this kind of scene, if it is shown on the great public, maybe one day it will hurt this little girl. So I'm really very touched. I'm really very touched by his this kind of humbleness and respect for people. If you want to, make a good movie, you must learn first to respect all the people with whom you work.
Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful sharing that you just did. Coming to this part now, here I get to ask you a few quick questions, right? I'm going to throw you like common questions, just fun. And I mean, like short answers, just first thing in your mind, you just throw it back to me, right? Shall we start? All right? Okay, a lovely one. One word for Kathmandu.
Amazing.
Diverse. No, that's a bad word. It's a bad word. Charmant in French, charming, but it's better in French. It's better in French.
Charmant, oui.
Like the sound, the timbre of that. Wow.
Charmant,
all right, charmant. I learned.
Ça, les petits bâtiments en bois, little buildings, wooden buildings.
Oh, wow.
But that's many words. Academics, we can't.
You can listen to as many attributes as you send my way. Coffee or tea while working?
Coffee.
Coffee. Tea. Doodh wali chai.
Doodh wali chai. Wow, lovely. Have you tried one? Have you tried one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I make it at home all the time. Yeah.
How about you? Tried Nepali tea?
Not yet.
A film you could watch over and over.
A French filmmaker, Chris Marker, called Sans Soleil, Sunless, which is a sort of a documentary. But also Werner Herzog, who's a great filmmaker, very well known, I'm sure. Many people have heard of him, but he's not a Hollywood style, but Aguirre, Wrath of God. That's a very powerful film. I haven't seen it in a while. But also, I'm trying to think. I don't watch a lot of Hollywood films multiple times. I watch a lot of series multiple times.
Right.
In French, it's Adieu ma concubine. Adieu ma farewell my concubine.
My concubine. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I did. There's a film called Hiroshima Mon Amour by a French director. It's because of you that I got the Francophone on my mind. That is a really gorgeous film. Or a Japanese film. I love the work of Shohei Imamura. He made a film called Vengeance is Mine. That one, I haven't seen it in a long time because it's not an easy distribution, but I would watch that multiple times.
I'll make sure I take note of all these. Morning person or a night owl?
I'm a morning person nowadays. If you have to shift, because if you're doing field work, you're at the whim of the people that you're living with, and I will stay up if I have to, but my normal rhythm is to be in bed early and get up at 4 or 5, so morning.
Does your work allow this privilege to you?
It does, especially now that I am in the stage of life where I don't have to worry about waking anybody else up. Yes.
Right. How about you?
I'm a night person because of my job. I don't have the choice. Yeah, because actually I work in news, and with the time lag with all these countries which speak French. Every day I had to stay till very night to monitor what is happening in the world.
So, favorite storytelling tool: a camera, pen, or voice?
Well, I mean, if you have the attention of people, a voice. But I would say editing is the best. That's where films, they say films are written multiple times. The screenwriter writes it once, the director is writing it again, but the final say is the editor. So I would say, any kind of a good editing program, and my favorite was cutting by hand, but that's gone, and that's fine. That way I don't have to worry about spilling coffee on stuff.
For me, camera. Because I work on TV, and I'm really sure that maybe TV will disappear one day, but the camera will never.
A city that feels like home. Both of you travel intensively, right? So a city that feels like home.
Los Angeles, California, because it has the world. It just sort of I mean, that's what makes, that's the strength of America. The real strength, all the people, the immigrants that make it so. But Los Angeles is just a very expansive city. Nobody thinks it's beautiful, and it loves every other city. We're always saying, like, oh, when I lived in San Francisco for the .com years, I did my work there. When I was leaving, people were like, why are you leaving? Where are you going? Los Angeles. They made these faces, and I was like, well, I'm going to... And then when I arrived, I got in the cab at Los Angeles Airport, and I was telling the cab driver, oh, I'm moving here. Oh, where are you coming from? San Francisco. And he looks in the rear view and looks at me and says, oh, that's a beautiful little town. We have an expansive heart for all the other cities in the world, and that's why I love it.
For me, maybe Paris. Maybe Paris, because I spent maybe a very precious part of my life there from 2008 to 2011, and this is really a lapse of my life which is very precious. Like the American writer Hemingway said that you will never forget Paris because it's a moving feast. Paris is a moving feast. And every time now when I travel to Paris for professional purpose, as soon as I got down get off the airplane, it's really felt like home, because everything to me is that familiar. I spent a part important of my youth there.
Right. Just a curiosity, Mr. Batao. I mean, no judgments here. How did French happen to you? Because I don't recall meeting a Chinese who speaks French and speaks French better than the French themselves.
Yeah,
so
maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of predestined to this language and this culture. When I was in a college, middle school, high school students, and then we got to choose our major in college. I like learning foreign language, and I'm very interested in this all these exotic things in foreign countries. So because you know that in China everyone learns English since a very young age, but if I continue to learn English, I think that's not cool. So I told me
that's a smart move.
Why not another language? And then this language is maybe for a boy of 18 years old. He sounds really sort of romantic or exotic. Oh. So I picked it just by accident like this, and now it becomes my whole life, love.
Right. Let me come to one of my favorite questions. Silence in cinema or music?
You gotta have a reason for both. One thing I will say is silence is never silence in the cinema. It's never nothing. You need something to emphasize that it's silent. Some different, the cliche is the door squeak or something. But you need a small sound to show the larger silence. Music can be great, but it's a great deadener. An ethnographic film especially, it's what that Mark said, religion is the opium of the people, and I tell my students music is the opium of a bad cut. If you have a good cut, it can work in silence. But what could be more, some of the films in the festival, particularly the national shorts, I was so impressed by how they used song as a story element. Because songs are a lot of the films are celebrating village culture, family life, and there are appropriate songs. So there is nothing, I'm a Generation X of the Walkman, and the greatest thing about the Walkman is not that you can shut your parents from talking to you, it is more that you're in a movie, right? It's like Bollywood, and you're dancing because you have your own soundtrack. So there's no question about the power of music. So I would have to say in that battle, music wins. But if it's a matter of educating my students, you have to have a reason for the music, and it should be a motivated music, not just a cliche music.
Sometimes silence is powerful. They're very, very powerful. I remember one of my favorite scenes in cinema is a film from Jia Dangke, Chinese director Jia Dangke, which means the title is The Mountains May Depart or Apart, the English name. And I still remember that there is a scene in which the main character, the lady, and his father were in a railway station, and the girl, she went to a shop to buy something to her father, who was sitting on a bench, right? Bench, on a long bench. And when the girl got back, he found that her dad is already passed away. Has already passed away. And at that moment, it was a total silence, and it was very powerful. Not a single word, just a picture, still, and the spectator can feel the strong shock and sadness.
Momos or samosas?
Well, we're in Nepal. I better say momos.
Me too, momos. Even if I haven't had the chance to test it.
But I make a good
protocol.
samosa.
It's a protocol that you do
of
try
course,
momos.
yeah, I will try. I will try.
As long as we can eat it with our hands, because it's too hard with chopsticks.
Oh, yes. You're free to use chopsticks, forks, hands, right? But it's a protocol.
I'll test it this evening.
Right. Thank you so much. It was lovely.
Thank you so much,
Shivani.
Right.
It's such a pleasure.
Indeed. Thank you so much for coming over and sharing your insights.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Today we have glimpsed the world through many lenses, from the bustling studios and the experiences that are coming from CGTN to ethnographic narratives. Stories are more than content. They're bridges, they connect continents, cultures and hearts. And to our audiences, the stories we tell and the stories we carry are what keep us human. And Creative Forum is where we talk about the humanness through arts and talks and conversations based on arts. This is Shivani Thapa Bosnet signing off until next time. Goodbye.
वादी नीलम जो है ये चिलाने से शुरू होता है तौभाट तक, कि एक पूरे एक वादी है और इसको वादी नीलम कहते हैं। और हमारा गांव जो है ये दुबारियाँ शहरी ये हमारा गांव है, और ये गांव तकरीबन यहाँ ये ऊपर और ये जगह भी उसी में शामिल है, जिस जगह हम बैठे हुए हैं ये भी दुबारियाँ शहरी में शामिल है। और हमारे गाँव की आबादी तकरीबन जो है ये 250 घराना है, तकरीबन 3000 की आबादी पर मुश्तमिल ये गाँव हमारा है। इस इलाके में जो है ये एक तो चश्मे है ज़्यादा उनका है, दूसरा फिर जंगलात है। जंगलात में ये हरे हरे दरख्त हैं जिसमें देवदार भी है, फर भी है, काइल भी है। ये सब्ज़ा ज़्यादा होता है और सब्ज़ा की वजह से फिर ऊंची ऊंची पहाड़ियाँ हैं, ये बहते हुए दरिया, इसकी वजह से इसके अंदर ज़्यादा खूबसूरती है। फिर बिलखुसूस यहाँ पर रत्ती गली जो है ये तो सब यहाँ मशहूर जगह है, बहुत खूबसूरत झील है वहाँ पर, और ये पूरा इलाका बड़ा खूबसूरत इलाका है। पहले ज़माने में जब हम लोग छोटे छोटे थे ना, उस वक्त ये था कि यहाँ बिजली और दीगर चीज़ का कोई इंतज़ाम नहीं था। हम लोग ये क्या करते थे, छोटे छोटे जब स्कूल पढ़ते थे तो हम ये देवदार जो है दरख्त, इसकी वो लकड़ियाँ नीचे से निकालते थे छोटी छोटी, जिसको हम अपनी ज़ुबान में दिल्ली कहते हैं। कुछ अरसे बाद तो है ये लालटेनें जो हैं ये आई और इसमें हम तेल लाते थे। वो तेल डाल कर बाद थोड़ी देर के लिए जलाते थे ताकि तेल भी थोड़ा इस्तेमाल हो, इसलिए कि पसमानदा इलाका था, इधर इतने वो वसाइल नहीं थे कमाई के, दीगर मामलात नहीं थे जिसकी वजह से लोग ये चीज़ों को इस्तेमाल कर सकें। टीवी में नहीं था, दीगर और ज़रूरियात भी नहीं थे, ये मोबाइल वगैरह ये कुछ भी नहीं था, तो जिसकी वजह से बिल्कुल ये था, ये समझ लें कि हम पत्थर के ज़माने में रहते थे। तो हमने सोचा यार हमारा गांव सबसे पीछे है, लिहाजा हम सोचें कि यहाँ पर तरक्की होनी चाहिए, हमारे गांव के लोग आगे जाएं। लकड़ का ये टरबाइन बनाया और पहली लाइट जो है ये मस्जिद में जलाई। वो जब एक बल्ब जला उसकी रोशनी, तो हमें उम्मीद होगी कि हम ये काम कर सकते हैं। फिर हम अपने गाँव वालों के साथ मिले कि भाई आओ हम मिलकर मुश्तरका तौर पर इस काम को करते हैं। तो हम 2003 में पहली मरतबा जब हमने इस बिजली का जो इब्तदा किया है, 2 गाँव में हमने बिजली का इंतज़ाम कर लिया, तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उसके बाद ये इंतज़ाम शुरू हुआ, जिसकी वजह से काफ़ी सारी तरक्की भी हुई गाँव में अंदर और बहाली भी आई। इस बिजली की वजह से हमारे जंगलात जो हैं ये थोड़े बहुत महफूज हो गए। फिर अच्छे तरीके से जो बच्चे तालीम हासिल नहीं कर सकते थे, जिनके पास वसाइल कुछ भी नहीं थे, अब वो बच्चे आकर अपनी तालीम, मसलन दिन को स्कूल जाते हैं दूर दराज, शाम को जब वापस आते हैं रात 11 बजे तक बैठकर रोशनी का इंतज़ाम है, उसमें अपने स्कूल का वो जो सबक उस्तादों ने रात का काम होमवर्क घर का दिया होता है वो उसको कर लेते हैं, उसमें आसानी हो जाती है, ये दुश्वारी नहीं होती।
हमने अगर किसी को बुरे वक्त में छोड़ दिया, हमने अगर किसी का साथ नहीं दिया तो अल्लाह क्या है नाराज हो गया, अल्लाह ने हमारे लिए भी मुसीबत डाली।
तमाम शहरी कानून की नज़र में बराबर और कानूनी तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के मुसावी तौर पर हकदार है। जिन्स की बिना पर कोई इम्तियाज
उसके हवाले से फिर हम इसके लिए पुलिस का इंतज़ाम करते हैं, इसके लिए बेल्ट का इंतज़ाम करते हैं और जो बंदा हमने मुलाज़म रखा है उसको खोलने बंद करने का, चलाने का, लाइन में बुलाने की करता है, जो उसमें अखराजात होते हैं, इसकी ज़रूरियात होती है। और जब आप लोग हमें नहीं, इसका हमने ऐसा अपना सिस्टम रखा हुआ है कि हम जो हमारे 3 गांव हैं यहाँ से ऊपर, उनमें हम महीने में 1 मरतबा उनके साथ मीटिंग करते हैं, उन सब मेम्बरान को जमा करते हैं। एक कमेटी बनी हुई है, 6 रुकनी कमेटी है, तो उसमें बाकायदा एक सदर है, जनरल सेक्रेटरी वगैरह, ये सारा पूरा एक सेटअप है। तो जब हम बैठते हैं कि भाई अब इसको हम आगे इसके अंदर कोई बेल्ट की ज़रूरत है, ग्रीस की ज़रूरत है, दीगर जो भी ज़रूरियात हैं, तो उनके साथ हम बैठकर मीटिंग करते हैं। तो हमको जो चीज़ ज़रूरत पड़ती है कि अब इस पर इतने अखराजात हैं या इसकी नाली जो है वो टूट जाती है, उसके लिए ज़रूरियात पड़ती है, तो हम आपस में बैठकर कुछ पैसे जमा कर लेते हैं। तकरीबन 16 अगस्त 2022 को जब फ्लड आया तो उस फ्लड में ये सारा कुछ सिस्टम तबाह हो गया था। 2 जनरेटर हमने लगाए हुए थे, 15 kV का वहाँ पर था और 30 kV का इधर था, तो ये वो भी दोनों ख़त्म हो गए, उनका कुछ भी नहीं मिला। ये टर्बाइन थी, इसको तोड़ दिया था, ये पुली नई हमने मंगवाई है भी, ये नलके जो सब थे, ये नया सिस्टम हमने पूरा किया इसका दोबारा। जब ये बिजली आ गई ना, तो इस वजह से ये हुआ कि जो हमारे मुतल्लिकीन थे उन्होंने गेस्ट हाउस बनाए। जब गेस्ट हाउस बना दिए तो उनके अंदर ये हुआ कि ये जब ये टूरिज़म आते थे वहाँ पर उनको इंटरनेट और दीगर सहूलियात मैसर होती थी। जब बिजली होती है तो फिर वो सारी सहूलियात उनको मैसर हो जाती हैं, तो इससे ये हो गया खुशहाली होगी। फिर लोगों ने जब टूरिज़म आना शुरू हो गए तो लोगों ने अपनी जीपें ख़रीद ली, कुछ लोगों ने अपने घोड़े ले लिए, तो जीपों पर यहाँ से आगे रत्ती गली तक ले जाते हैं। 18 किलोमीटर का फासला जो है वहाँ पर लोग चले जाते हैं, वहाँ से आगे तकरीबन 2 किलोमीटर या 1.5 किलोमीटर है, वहाँ पर घोड़ों के ज़रिए से लोग ऊपर झील पर पहुँच जाते हैं, वहाँ पर रोज़गार मुहैया हो गया लोगों को।
तो इधर 15 साल पहले लाइट आई है, हाइडल पावर, तो इधर अपना हाइडल पावर बनाया। फिर पहले लाइट का बहुत ज़्यादा इशू था, लाइट नहीं थी, हाइडल पावर बने, मिल के सब लोगों ने काम किए, तो अब कोई मसला नहीं है लाइट का। टूरिस्ट वगैरह भी आते हैं तो आसानी से कमाई होती है। हमारे जो मर्द हजरात हैं वो उधर टूरिस्ट उधर होते हैं, गेस्ट हाउस पे होते हैं, तो उधर वो चला रहे हैं, तो घर पे हम खाना बना के ख़वातीन हजरात भेजती हैं उधर खाना, मिल के हम काम करते हैं सारे पे। गुजारा सही है, अच्छी तरह से गुजारे से भी सही है, अच्छा बनता है, सब कुछ निज़ाम सही चलता है।
तकरीबन 11 साल हो गए मुझे यहाँ टूरिज़म पे काम करते हुए। और जब हम इस वैली में आए थे 20 साल पहले फायर रहा है, जब हम इस वैली में आए थे तो उस वक्त कुछ भी नहीं था यहाँ। और ये हमने तकरीबन 2005 में ये वैली ओपन हुई थी और उसके बाद 2008 में ये बिल्डिंगें लीज़ पे गई हैं और 2012 में हमने इसको स्टार्ट लिया है। तो उसके बाद हमने काम करते करते माशाल्लाह अभी काफ़ी टूरिज़म भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है। और उसके बाद अभी काफ़ी लोगों ने गेस्ट हाउस भी बना लिए हैं यहाँ पे।
हमारे इलाके में जब जगह कम हो जाती है, गेस्ट हाउस में जगह नहीं होती, तो फिर अपने घरों में भी जो कमरे इजाफी होते हैं उनमें इनको ठहरा देते हैं। जब वो आते हैं उनको देसी खाना हम लोग खिलाते हैं। जब वो लोग खाते हैं ये चीज़ें देसी, वो खुश होते हैं, तो वो अपने तौर पर तोहफे के तौर पर जो है उन लोगों के साथ जो जो भी अपने घर में रखता है वो ताउन कर लेते हैं।
Shall we start now?
I'll try my best.
Okay. Your best performance, okay?
The most important innings for me would be the Nepal versus Hong Kong game. And I scored 41 runs because that match, it was one step into the World Cup. And for me, I remember going into that game, I thought I'll not hit the ball in the air at all because if I stayed in the crease and scored runs, meant that Nepal had better chances of winning. And those 41 runs in that game would probably be the most valuable innings that I've ever played, where I got run out. But that every run, if I think of it now, would probably be the time when I took the most pressure during my whole 20 years of career. But those would be the most important runs of my career.
Best Nepali batsman of all time?
It's difficult. Why? Because I have seen a lot of great players, and you look at the current batch of cricketers, meant that everyone's been performing exceptionally well. If I really had to pick one name, just from a talent perspective, who did not play as much for Nepal but was extremely talented, was Sandeep Shrestha. He played few matches for Nepal, but just looking at him, he was so casual at how he played the sport.
I can't agree with you anymore. Best coach you have played under?
If I really had to pick one person, would be Pubdu, because that transformation of Nepal cricket from 11 to 16 while he was here. And we qualifying for the World Cup was an important moment.
Most difficult opponent you have played against?
Obviously, Afghanistan and Nepal always, gets compared. I remember playing Afghanistan's first match in 2005, and then they wanted to become a test playing nation in 2016.
Best bowler you have faced, or the most difficult bowler you have ever faced?
I think Basant Rigmi easily is the best bowler that I played. I keep saying Sandeep played the IPL. He's gone on to play all leagues all over the world. He's been phenomenal. But Basant Rigmi, if let's say had got the platform back in the day from a fast bowler who turned into a left arm spinner, probably the best bowler that I have faced. And at one point he was probably the best left arm spinner and somebody who nobody could hit.
Best upcoming talent?
I think Gulshan Jha, the potential that he has as an all-rounder, and he's left-handed. Obviously, there's a lot more things that he needs to add up into his game, but he has potential to really grow into something.
Best Nepali bowler?
Would be Binod Das. I think he was probably the best fast bowler that I played. I mean, Sompal and Karan have carried the nation's burden for the last 10 years, but Binod Das was probably the best fast bowler.
He was the leading fast bowler in the associate countries at his peak as well. 2014 T20 World Cup qualification or 2018 ODI status?
It has to be the World Cup, and I really can't pick between the two. Why? Because the ODI status is important for the overall setup of how a cricket nation functions at the associate world, but qualifying for the World Cup and playing the World Cup meant that cricket became important to this nation. So I would definitely pick the World Cup.
Best ever performance under your captaincy, Nepal's?
3 matches we played at the World Cup.
14 World Cup.
Because at the global stage, we never played under floodlights. We went into Dubai a week ago. And also when you are young, I think we were a young team. We had no fears. We were a strong unit, backed by good coaching. Whatever that we had, we were happy about it. And that moment where we were presented in front of the world, we did not crumble. Playing against Hong Kong, playing against Afghanistan, and competing against Bangladesh, meant that that is when we made our first significant impact. So those 3 matches would probably be the best performance. But if you go through the Division 5, 4, 3-2 cycle, more. I mean, every tournament has its own story, and it has been an incredible journey.
Best batsman in world cricket you admire?
Has to be Brian Charles Lara. Got to see him in Nepal as well, so he was a genius.
He was a genius. Best all-rounder in world cricket?
Jack Callis, easily.
All right.
When you look at his batting stats, his bowling stats, there's no comparison to what he has achieved.
Exactly. Best bowler in world cricket all time?
Shane Warne. I'll probably say he's the greatest cricketer that played the sport.
True. You are a big Aussie fan as well?
I follow the Australian cricket team.
Best captain in world cricket all time?
If I really have to go back old school, it would have to be Stephen Fleming. Fleming was a great leader, left-handed batter, and is still coaching the Chennai Super. A great cricket mind, and even Ricky Ponting. If you think of the fact that he had to lead this team of gladiators and had to captain them, Steve Waugh led by examples day and day. But if I had to pick one person, if it's a name, Stephen Fleming. Although he didn't win championships, but had a lot of respect with everybody around and still does.
Paras, let's sit down now. Let's create Nepal's all-time 11, all formats.
It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult. Let's try.
Sandeep just is opening. Then you'd probably pick maybe Kushal
Bhutel for his Loni opening. Fantastic.
2. Then number 3 would be Gyanendra Malla.
Superb.
Number 4.
Let's try.
Number 4 would be Dipender Singh Airi.
Dipender Singh Airi, of course.
At number 4. Sarat Bisagar at 5. Raju Kharka at 6. Then so Sakti Gausan at 7. Basant Rigmi at 8. Sandeep Lamichhane at 9. Binod Das.
Okay.
And it'll be difficult between Sompal and Karan.
All right.
Because both of them, so depending on the format, because both have been great match winners, which means that if it's ODI, I would pick Sompal.
Being diplomatic here. All right,
if it's ODI, I mean, if it's T20, I would pick Karan. So that's the playing 11. Sandeep
Shrestha, number 1.
Kushal Bhutel, Gyanendra Malla at 3, Dipen Singh Eri at 4, Sarath Besagar at 5, Raju Kharga at 6, Sakti Gauchan at 7, Basant Regmi at 8, Sandeep Lamichhane at 9, Binod Das at 10, and 11 would be
either Sompal or
Karan. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, all-rounders, please rank. Raju Kharga?
1. Dipen Singh Eri 2.
All right.
Sakti Gauchan 3.
All right.
Gulshan Jha 4.
All right.
Maybe Alam at 5. So
Maybe Alam at 5.
প্রমত্তা পদ্মার বুকে সগৌরবে দাঁড়িয়ে থাকা এক অহংকারের নাম পদ্মা সেতু। দেশের দক্ষিণাঞ্চলকে রাজধানী ঢাকার সাথে যুক্ত করেছে ৬.১৫ কিলোমিটার দীর্ঘ এই সেতু। গত বছরের জুনে চালু হওয়া এই সেতু ইতোমধ্যে দেশের অর্থনীতিতে রাখতে শুরু করেছে বড় অবদান। নানা প্রতিকূলতা পেরিয়ে বিশাল এই স্থাপনাটি হয়ে উঠেছে জাতির সক্ষমতা ও গর্বের প্রতীক হিসেবে। দেশের সবচেয়ে দীর্ঘ ও নান্দনিক স্থাপত্যশৈলীর এই সেতুকে ঘিরে মানুষের আগ্রহ বিপুল। পদ্মা সেতু দেশের অর্থনীতিতে অবদান রাখার পাশাপাশি এই সেতুকে ঘিরে অত্র এলাকায় তৈরি হয়েছে ব্যাপক পর্যটন সম্ভাবনা। সেই সাথে নদীকেন্দ্রিক পর্যটনেরও বিরাট সম্ভাবনা দেখা দিয়েছে স্বপ্নের পদ্মা সেতুকে ঘিরে। পদ্মার মাওয়াঘাটে দীর্ঘদিন মাঝির কাজ করেছেন লিটন মিয়া। তিনি জানালেন, পদ্মা সেতু চালু হওয়ার পর থেকে দেশের বিভিন্ন প্রান্ত থেকে মানুষ আসছে পদ্মা পাড়ে।
পদ্মা সেতু যখন ছিল না তখন আমাদের কোনো পর্যটক ছিল না। পদ্মা সেতু হওয়ার পর আমাদের পর্যটক বেড়ে গেছে, মানে অনেক প্রচুর পরিমাণ লোক আসে ঘুরে, আমাদের ইনকামের সোর্সও বাড়ছে আগের চেয়ে। এখন আমরা অনেক ভালো আছি।
ইট পাথরের শহুরে জীবন ছেড়ে একটু সতেজ নিঃশ্বাস নিতে নগরবাসীর সহজ পছন্দ এই পর্যটন স্থানটি। রাজধানী ঢাকা থেকে মাত্র ৩৫ কিলোমিটার দূরে এই স্থানটিতে আসা যাওয়ার পথে পর্যটকদের দারুণভাবে আকৃষ্ট করে ঢাকা মাওয়া এক্সপ্রেসওয়ে। দুই ধারে বিস্তীর্ণ সবুজ প্রান্তর আর এর মাঝ দিয়ে যাওয়া এই মহাসড়কটি পর্যটকদের অন্যরকম এক ভালো লাগার অনুভূতি দেয়। পর্যটকদের ক্রমবর্ধমান চাহিদা মেটাতে নানাবিধ সুবিধা চালু হয়েছে পদ্মা সেতুর দুই প্রান্তে। গড়ে উঠেছে বেশ কিছু আধুনিক রিসোর্ট ও রেস্তোরাঁ। এছাড়া সাধারণ ও স্বল্প আয়ের ভ্রমণ পিপাসুদের জন্য এখানে গড়ে উঠেছে রেস্তোরাঁ সহ বিভিন্ন পর্যটন সুবিধা। পদ্মা সেতু চালু হওয়ার পর থেকে পর্যটকদের জন্য বিভিন্ন সুযোগ সুবিধা বৃদ্ধি করেছে এখানকার পর্যটন সেবাদানকারীরা।
এখানে পদ্মা সেতু ঘিরে পর্যটন সম্ভাবনার অপার সম্ভাবনা। পদ্মা সেতু চালু হওয়ার পর থেকে আমাদের মাওয়া রিসোর্টের গেস্টের আসা যাওয়াটা আরও বেড়েছে। এখানে আমরা আরও নতুন অনেক সুবিধা সংযোজন করেছি। আগে এখানে আমাদের শুধু রুম সার্ভিস এবং রেস্টুরেন্ট সার্ভিস ছিল, এখন আমরা এখানে আমাদের ভালো 5 স্টার স্ট্যান্ডার্ড সুইমিং পুল অ্যাড করেছি, ভালো মানের ভিলা কটেজ এগুলো আছে। এখানকার আগের চেয়ে মনে করেন যখন সেতু চালু হয়েছে, সেতু চালু হওয়ার পর আমাদের পর্যটক কেন্দ্র আরও লোক আসছে, ঘুরতে বেশি করে যায়। ঠিক আছে, আগে ট্রলার ছিল মনে করেন 30টা, এখন ট্রলার মনে করেন 50টা ট্রলার চলতেছে। প্রতিদিন মনে করেন 6টা 7টা করে টিপ পাই আমরা ট্রলারের। আর এখন মনে করেন ভালোই বহুত লোক যাচ্ছে আর কি। ওখানে দ্বীপচর আছে, চরে যা নামে ঘুরে মানুষ আনন্দ পায়, এই জন্য আরও বেশি মানুষ আসতেছে।
সরকারি বেসরকারি ট্যুর অপারেটররা চালু করেছে পদ্মা কেন্দ্রিক নানা ধরনের ভ্রমণ প্যাকেজ। সেই সাথে স্থানীয় অধিবাসীরা পদ্মায় ভ্রমণ পিপাসুদের বিনোদনের কথা মাথায় রেখে নৌবিহারের আয়োজন করেছে। নৌকা ও ট্রলারে করে নৌবিহার কিংবা পদ্মা সেতুর নিচ দিয়ে নদী ভ্রমণ এখানে বেড়াতে আসা পর্যটকদের কাছে খুবই পছন্দের।
এই জায়গায় আসলে মন ভালো হওয়ার মতো একটা জায়গা। এই জায়গায় সেতু দেখলাম, আশেপাশে মনোরম দৃশ্য দেখলাম, মোটামুটি খুব সুন্দর।
পদ্মার নিচ থেকে ছবি তুলছি, তারপরে এখানে আসি টঙের দোকানে চা খাইলাম, ঝালমুড়ি খাইলাম, পরিবার মিলে রেস্তোরাঁয় খাবো পদ্মার ইলিশ দিয়ে। সবকিছু মিলাই যে অনুভূতিটা অনেক ভালো।
এখানে এসে নৌকা দিয়ে ঘুরে চমৎকার কিছু মানে সময় উপভোগ করলাম, ভালো লেগেছে, বেশ উপভোগ করেছি সময়টা আমি।
পদ্মা পাড়ে বেড়াতে আসা পর্যটকদের সবচেয়ে বড় আকর্ষণ পদ্মা নদীর রূপালী ইলিশের স্বাদ। পদ্মা পাড়ে বেড়াতে এসেছেন অথচ ইলিশ খাবেন না এমন মানুষ পাওয়া সত্যি বিরল। অনেকে আবার শুধুমাত্র ইলিশ ভাজা খেতেই দল বেঁধে ছুটে আসেন এই মাওয়া ঘাটে।
আমরা আসছি পাবনা থেকে পদ্মা সেতু দেখার জন্য মূলত। আর পদ্মা সেতু দেখতে আসা, পদ্মার পাড়ে ঘুরতে আসা মানে পদ্মার ইলিশ খাইতে হবে। আমরা ইলিশ খাইলাম এখান থেকে, ইলিশের স্বাদ অসাধারণ হয়েছে।
পদ্মা সেতু দেখতে আসছি আর ইলিশ খাবো না তা হবে না। এখানে এসে খুব সস্তায় ইলিশ পেলাম, খাইলাম, অনেক ভালো লাগলো।
ইলিশ খাওয়ার জন্য সারাটা বাংলাদেশের থেকেই অনেক দূর দূরান্ত থেকে লোকজন এসে ইলিশ ভাজা খায় এবং তার সাথে ইলিশের লেজ ভর্তাটা সবচেয়ে সুমধুর। ইন্ডিয়া থেকে অনেক লোক এ পর্যন্ত আসছে এই ইলিশ খাওয়ার জন্য এবং পদ্মার ব্রিজ দেখার জন্য।
পদ্মা সেতুকে ঘিরে এই এলাকায় যে পর্যটন সম্ভাবনা তৈরি হয়েছে তা টেকসই করতে ইতোমধ্যে কিছু উদ্যোগ নিয়েছে সরকার। পদ্মা সেতুকে ঘিরে ১১৭ বর্গ কিলোমিটার এলাকাকে বন্যপ্রাণী অভয়ারণ্য ঘোষণা করা হয়েছে। ৩টি সার্ভিস এরিয়া সহ আশেপাশে প্রায় ২.৫ লাখ গাছ লাগানো হয়েছে, যা এই এলাকার পরিবেশ সংরক্ষণে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ ভূমিকা রাখবে। তবে এখন পর্যন্ত পদ্মা সেতু কেন্দ্রিক পর্যটকদের জন্য যে সুযোগ সুবিধা রয়েছে তা খুবই অপ্রতুল। তাই এটিকে আধুনিক ও আকর্ষণীয় পর্যটন স্পট হিসেবে গড়ে তুলতে হলে নতুন করে ঢেলে সাজাতে হবে পুরো এলাকাটিকে।
এখন যদি এখানে একটা পর্যটক কেন্দ্র হয়, কি একটা উৎসব করার জন্য একটা পার্ক সিস্টেম হয়, কি গাছগাছলা সিস্টেম হয়, তাই দেখা গেছে লোকজন আরও আসবে, আরও দেখতে আসবে, আরও উন্নত হবে। আমাদের
উন্নত বিশ্বের মতো আমরা যদি ইউরোপ এর কথা চিন্তা করি, সেখানের মতো আমরা যদি একটা ক্রুজ শিপ চালু করতে পারি, সেই সাথে এটির মধ্যে যখন একটি ফুড রেস্তোরাঁ থাকবে, সেই রেস্তোরাঁটাতেও তারা ফুডটাকে এনজয় করতে পারবে। পদ্মার একটি চর রয়েছে, যে চরটিকে কেন্দ্র করে একটি যদি রিসোর্ট গঠন করা যায়, যে রিসোর্টটিতে অনেক পর্যটক কিন্তু আসবে এবং সেখানে তারা থাকবে। কারণ এই জায়গাটি এখন একটি লুক্রেটিভ একটি জায়গা, যেটি শুধু বাংলাদেশের অভ্যন্তরীণ পর্যটক নয়, সেটি কিন্তু আন্তর্জাতিক পর্যটকদের কাছেও কিন্তু আমরা যদি ছোটো ছোটো কিছু প্রোমো তৈরি করে এটিকে যদি আমরা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া, ইউটিউব এবং ইনস্টাগ্রামের মাধ্যমে এই ব্র্যান্ডিংটা আমরা করতে পারি, তাহলে কিন্তু অভ্যন্তরীণ পর্যটকের পাশাপাশি আমরা আন্তর্জাতিক পর্যটকদেরকেও কিন্তু এই পদ্মা সেতু কেন্দ্রিক যে পর্যটন সেখানে আকৃষ্ট করতে পারবো।
তবে এত সম্ভাবনার মাঝেও আশঙ্কা কম নয়। টেকসই পর্যটনের একটি অতি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ উপাদান হল সুষ্ঠু বর্জ্য ব্যবস্থাপনা। কিন্তু পদ্মা সেতু কেন্দ্রিক যে পর্যটন সম্ভাবনা দেখা দিয়েছে, সেটি বিকাশের ক্ষেত্রে বড় বাধা হয়ে দাঁড়াতে পারে সুষ্ঠু বর্জ্য ব্যবস্থাপনার অভাব ও অবৈধ স্থাপনা। এখানে গড়ে ওঠা রেস্তোরাঁগুলোতে পরিবেশ বান্ধব বর্জ্য ব্যবস্থাপনার অভাব রয়েছে। যত্রতত্র ময়লা আবর্জনা ফেলার প্রবণতা লক্ষ্য করা যায়। অনেক ক্ষেত্রে রেস্তোরাঁর বর্জ্য ফেলা হচ্ছে নদীর ধারে, যা পরিবেশের জন্য মারাত্মক হুমকি স্বরূপ। এছাড়া পর্যটকবাহী নৌযান সহ অন্যান্য নৌযানগুলোতে বর্জ্য ব্যবস্থাপনা নেই বললেই চলে। এসব নৌযানের সব বর্জ্যের স্থান হয় নদীতে। ফলে এভাবে চলতে থাকলে দিনে দিনে এখানে যতই পর্যটক সংখ্যা বাড়বে, নদী দূষণের আশঙ্কাও তত বাড়বে। সেই সাথে যত্রতত্র গড়ে ওঠা দোকানপাটও এখানকার পর্যটন সম্ভাবনাকে ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত করতে পারে। সার্বিকভাবে এই ধরনের অব্যবস্থাপনা একদিকে যেমন পর্যটকদের হতাশ করবে, তেমনি পরিবেশে ডেকে আনবে বিপর্যয়, যা এখানকার বিকাশমান পর্যটন সম্ভাবনাকে মারাত্মক ঝুঁকির মুখে ফেলবে। তবে এ সমস্যার সমাধানে প্রয়োজন সমন্বিত উদ্যোগ আর সচেতনতা।
পর্যটনকে যদি আরো বেশি উন্নয়ন করতে চাই তাহলে ওয়েস্ট ম্যানেজমেন্টের উপর গুরুত্ব আরোপ করতে হবে। এই পর্যটন সংশ্লিষ্ট হোটেল, মোটেল, রিসোর্ট এবং রেস্তোরাঁর ব্যবসা যারা বেসরকারিভাবে পরিচালিত করছে তাদেরকেও কিন্তু এনভায়রনমেন্ট ফ্রেন্ডলি বা ওয়েস্ট ম্যানেজমেন্টের উপর আরও বেশি গুরুত্ব আরোপ করতে হবে। সেই সাথে স্থানীয় যে জনগোষ্ঠী রয়েছে তাদেরকে আমরা যদি এই পর্যটনের সাথে সম্পৃক্ত করতে পারি তাহলে একটা অ্যাওয়ারনেস কিন্তু তৈরি হবে অ্যামং দ্য সোসাইটি যে আমাদের এখানে পর্যটন কেন্দ্র গড়ে উঠবে, তবে এটি পরিবেশকে মেনটেন করে, এটি সাস্টেনেবল হবে এবং ওয়েস্টটাকে প্রপারলি ম্যানেজ করতে হবে।
অনেক শ্রম আর ত্যাগের বিনিময়ে অর্জিত পদ্মা সেতু বাঙালির অহংকার। এই সেতুকে ঘিরে পর্যটন সম্ভাবনাকে কাজে লাগাতে হলে সরকারের পাশাপাশি বেসরকারি উদ্যোক্তাদেরও এগিয়ে আসতে হবে। সকলের সমন্বিত প্রচেষ্টায় দেশের পর্যটন খাতে নতুন এক আদর্শ গন্তব্য হয়ে উঠতে পারে পদ্মা সেতু, যেখানে শুধুমাত্র দেশীয় পর্যটকই নয়, বিদেশি পর্যটকরাও আসবে। আর এর মাধ্যমে এই অঞ্চল তথা দেশের আর্থসামাজিক অগ্রগতিতে নতুন দিগন্তের উন্মোচন ঘটবে।
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I'm Sabika Srestha, your host for the program. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we gather week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. In this episode, we look at the government's push for positive reforms, from rewarding taxpayers and expanding digital public services to improving grievance handling, passport services and public sector benefits. We also examine the challenges and delays facing Nepal's digital transformation, including the national ID and driving license systems. The government's taxpayer incentive program generated massive interest and participation even before its official launch. The system has already registered transactions surpassing 92.8 billion rupees. The program officially launched on August 7, with Delhi winner being announced on a regular basis. Here's the report. Asking for a bill after making a purchase is no longer just a civic responsibility. It is now an opportunity to win cash prizes. Since the announcement of the program, the number of consumers requesting VAT bills has increased significantly. According to the Inland Revenue Department, the total value of transactions registered under the taxpayer incentive program has crossed 92.80 billion rupees in the last 20 days. As of Thursday, more than 30.46 million transactions have been recorded. Consumers who pay in cash and collect a bill can participate in the program by registering their mobile number and other required details through the department's taxpayer incentive portal. A purchase is considered eligible only after the system verifies the bill. Once verified, a digital ticket is automatically generated, which is then entered into the Delhi and bumper prize draws. Purchases of 100 rupees or more must be supported by a bill containing the seller's PAN. Payments made through mobile banking, QR codes, cards, and other electronic payment methods are automatically included in the system.
हामीले विद्युतीय भुक्तानी भन्छौं नि क्यूआर पेमेन्ट गर्ने अथवा अनलाइन पेमेन्ट गर्ने कुराहरुमा जुन जुन भुक्तानीमा हामी चाहिँ त्यो अनलाइन पेमेन्ट चाहिँ गर्छौं त्यसमा केही पनि गर्नु पर्दैन। त्यो पेमेन्ट गर्ने बित्तिकै त्यो ट्रान्ज्याक्सन कारोबारको चाहिँ संकेत नम्बर स्वत यो चाहिँ यो स्किममा समावेश हुन्छ। जसले चाहिँ अनलाइन पेमेन्ट गर्नु भएको छैन, नगदमा भुक्तानी गर्नु भएको छ भनेदेखि उहाँहरूले चाहिँ बिल लिनु पर्यो। विभागको चाहिँ वेबसाइटमा एउटा चाहिँ त्यो बिल प्रविष्टि गर्ने चाहिँ ठाउँ छ। त्यहाँ 5-6 वटा फिल्डमा चाहिँ हामीले त्यो इन्फर्मेसन भर्ने बित्तिकै उले चाहिँ तपाईको कुपन नम्बर यति हो भनेर चाहिँ टक्क फेरि कुपन नम्बर सहित चाहिँ दिन्छ। त्यो पनि प्रणालीमा चाहिँ फेरि आफै जान्छ।
According to the department, only individual consumers are eligible to participate in the program. Transactions made in the name of businesses, companies, or institutions are not eligible. The department says the initiative aims to strengthen public trust in the tax system, promote a culture of voluntary tax compliance, encourage honest taxpayers, and broaden the country's tax base. Under the program, one winner will be selected through a daily lucky draw with a prize money of 1 lakh rupees. In addition, a bumper draw will be held every 15 days, giving one lucky consumer the chance to win a cash prize of 1 million rupees exclusive of taxes. So next time, when you make a purchase of anything above 100 rupees, make sure to take a VAT invoice and be a millionaire. Around the world, governments are finding innovative ways to improve tax compliance, not by increasing tax rates, but by rewarding honest consumers. From million-dollar invoice lotteries in Asia to comeback and prize schemes in Europe and Latin America, these programs encourage people to ask for official receipts, making it harder for businesses to hide sales and evade taxes. Here's a look to how different countries are using luck to strengthen tax systems.
It was the Chinese Taipei that pioneered the concept in 1951 with its uniform invoice lottery. Every official receipt doubles as a lottery ticket, offering prizes of up to 10 million local currency and becoming one of the world's most successful tax compliance models. China introduced the Fapio lottery, where official tax invoices can earn consumers instant cash rewards or digital lottery entries, boosting VAT reporting and discouraging fake invoices. Portugal's Lucky Invoice program rewards citizens who request tax invoices, while Malta operates a long-running VAT receipt lottery to promote proper receipt issuance. In Central Europe, Slovakia and Poland run national receipt lotteries, offering cash, cars, and other prizes to encourage consumers to demand fiscal receipts and reduce the shadow economy. Georgia follows a different approach, providing frequent smaller cash prizes that motivate people to collect legal receipts while improving tax compliance. The Philippines Bureau of Revenue organizes receipt raffles, encouraging shoppers to register official receipts for the chance to win substantial cash prizes. Brazil combines tax credits, cashback, and lottery rewards through state-level invoice programs, helping increase VAT collection and reduce informal economic activity. South Korea takes a different path. Instead of lotteries, its cash receipt system rewards consumers with tax deductions for documented cash transactions. Nepal has now joined this global trend through its taxpayer incentive gift program. Consumers who obtain genuine tax invoices for purchases above 100 rupees become eligible for daily and monthly cash prizes, including awards of up to 1 million rupees. Together, these initiatives demonstrate how small incentives can encourage millions of consumers to demand official receipts, improve tax transparency, strengthen government revenue, and promote a culture of voluntary tax compliance.
A habit of taking receipts while shopping could make you a millionaire. An individual from Kanchanpur who bought goods worth just Rs 250 won 1 million rupees in the first ever bumper draw under the Taxpayer Initiative gift program. So always ask for the invoice. Who knows, you could be the next winner. Bhavna Kesi along with Kamala Aryal explores more.
The Nepal government has announced the first round of winners under the Taxpayer Incentive Gift Program, launched to encourage taxpayers to take receipts and make digital payments. This time, the taxpayer holding coupon number 0073152544493 won the bumper prize of 1 million rupees. The winning receipt was from the purchase of goods worth 250 rupees at Sivakrishna General Store. After tax deductions, the winner will receive 750,000 rupees. The winner was selected by the automated cryptographical secured uniform random sampling without replacement method in the presence of Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle. Along with the bumper prize, 15 other Delhi winners received 100,000 rupees each. In the first 15 days of the program, 777,000 cash transactions were registered, amounting to 824 million rupees. During the same period, over 25.6 million transactions were recorded with a combined value of 766 billion rupees. Finance Minister Dr. Wagle expressed confidence that expanding this culture will help achieve the revenue collection target of 15.8 trillion rupees.
बृहत लक्ष्य चाहिँ अर्थतन्त्रको औपचारिकीकरण हामी बिलिङ कल्चरमा जानुपर्छ बिल लिने दिने र सबै ट्रान्ज्याक्सनहरु चाहिँ रेकर्डेड हुने र यो डिजिटल दुनियाँमा ट्रेस गर्न सकिने र रकमको यो पारदर्शिताले आफ्नै नागरिकहरुबाट वा उपभोक्ताहरुबाट कति रकम राज्यले संकलन गर्यो र पछि त्यो संकलित रकम हामीले कहाँ खर्च गर्यौं भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ सार्वजनिक वित्त पब्लिक फाइनान्सको एउटा चाहिँ शाश्वत सिद्धान्त अनुरूप हामीले चाहिँ यसलाई अगाडि बढाएका हौं.
Director General of the Inland Revenue Department, Dr. Vishnu Kumar Vushal, said the program will make financial transactions more transparent while attracting taxpayers toward taking receipt and using digital payments.
Cryptographically secure uniform random sampling without replacement विधि बाट चाहिँ छनौट गर्नुहुनेछ. यो विधिले सुरक्षित रूपमा कम्प्युटरमा रहेका डेटाबाट निष्पक्षतापूर्वक विजेता छनौट गर्न आदान प्रदान गर्छ. यो चाहिँ विधि हामीले किन प्रयोग गर्यौं भन्दा यो विधिले सबै कुपनहरुले समान अवसर पाउने इलेक्ट्रोनिक भुक्तानीबाट भएको कारोबारबाट स्वतः सृजित हुने कुपन र नगद कारोबार तथा ऋणपूर्वकको बिलको अनलाइन प्रविष्टिबाट प्राप्त हुने कुपनका लागि पनि समान अवसर प्रदान गर्छ.
Winners for the first phase were selected based on purchases made between July 17 to August 6. From now onwards, winners will be announced regularly on the 16th and the last day of each month.
In this context, we asked general public how aware they are about the importance of taking a bill while purchasing goods. Let's hear what they have to say in Public Pulse.
कतिपय ठाउँमा चाहिँ बिल दिनुस् भन्दा पनि आनाकानी गरेर सानोटा चिटमा चाहिँ दिने गर्नुहुन्छ. भन्दा भन्दै पनि दिनुहुन्न कुनै ठाउँमा चाहिँ अटोमेटिक दिनुहुन्छ. यहाँ भाटबटिनीमा सुपरमार्केटहरुमा त दिने कुरा भइहाल्यो अटोमेटिक नै.
पहिला चाहिँ अब त्यति लिने गरेको थिएन. अब अहिले यो जुन यो कार्यक्रमको घोषणा भयो त्यसपछि चाहिँ म पनि हरेक पसलमा बिल माग्ने गरेको छु. अहिले चाहिँ एकदमै यो राम्रो पनि लागेको छ. भने अब अनलाइन गर्यो भने त्यहाँ अटोमेटिक हुँदो रहेछ. बिल माग्दा चाहिँ हामी बिल ल्याउने दर्ता गर्ने त्यो चाहिँ गर्ने गरेको छु.
भाटबटिनतिर चाहिँ लिन गरेछ. अन्त चाहिँ आफ्नो घरको सामान लिँदाखेरि कहीँ ल्याइन्छ कहीँ ल्याइँदैन. अलि ठुलो सामान किन्दाखेरि ल्याइन्छ सानो सामान किन्दा ल्याइन्न त्यति हो.
अब यो सानातिनो पसलहरू जस्तै यो हाम्रो खुद्रा पसल हाम्रो जस्तै गल्लीहरूको पसलहरूमा चाहिँ खासै बिलिङको प्रोसेसहरू त्यति हुँदैन. तर जस्तै अब अलि लग्जरी आइटम जस्तै हाम्रो यो भाटबटिनी जस्तै ब्रान्डेड लुगा कपडामा चाहिँ उहाँहरूले बिल दिने गर्नुहुन्छ. लाइक यस्तो खुद्रा पसलमा चाहिँ त्यति बिलहरू हामी लिने गरेका छैनौँ.
तर सरकारले गरिरहेको यो चाहिँ थाहा छ मैले छ बिल हरेक पटक बिल लिइरहेछ. यो लिइरहेको राम्रै हो देशको लागि.
बिल त म प्राय पाउने ठाउँमा त बिल अनिवार्य भन्छु. कहीँ बिल माग्दाखेरि रिसाउँछन् भ्याट बिल छैन पेन बिल छैन के भन्छन् होइन. अब त्यो चाहिँ हामीलाई थाहा भइसकेको छ होइन. त्यो अब तिनीहरूले चाहिँ अब त्यहाँ गलत गरे खान् त्यहाँ भनेर. अब हामीले भ्याट त पहिल्यै तिरिसकेका हुन्छ. जनताले एउटा सचेत नागरिक भएर बिल माग्न पर्छ. सरकारलाई हेल्प गर्नुपर्छ. कसरी हुन्छ यो चाहिँ नि देशको लागि चाहिँ नि केही न केही चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ हामीले सचेत नागरिकले प्रत्येकले बिल माग्नुपर्छ
While informed policy making strengthens government decisions, technology-driven services are helping citizens access those decisions and services more easily. A major step in this direction has been taken by the Foreign Ministry through the launch of its digital consular service platform. Siksha Bhatrai takes a look.
Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has launched the Nepal e-attestation system, or NEATS, allowing Nepalis around the world to apply online for consular authentication services. Through the new platform, applicants can submit requests digitally, track application progress, pay fees online, and schedule appointments without repeated visits to offices. The system will come into operation from August 17. Foreign Minister Shishir Khanal said the initiative reflects the government's commitment to making public service more accessible, transparent, and technology-friendly. The ministry says the demand for authentication services has increased with the growing number of Nepalis traveling abroad for education, employment, business, and migration. In the previous fiscal year, more than 112,000 students received no objection certificates, while around 400,000 Nepalis annually obtain labor permits for foreign employment. Officials say authenticated documents are essential for Nepalis abroad for education, family reunion, emergency support, compensation, and insurance-related procedures. The ministry says digital transformation of consular services is part of a broader effort to bring government services closer to citizens.
Along with making services easier to access, the government is also working to strengthen the system through which citizens can raise concerns and seek solutions. To improve direct communication between citizens and the state, the Prime Minister's office is preparing to upgrade Hello Sarkar, the government's public grievance handling platform. The proposed system aims to integrate complaints received through phone calls, websites, social media platforms, email and messaging applications into a single digital platform. Under the upgraded system, citizens will be able to register complaints, track progress and receive updates through the integrated mechanism. The government also plans to connect the toll-free number 1111 with relevant ministries and government call centers for faster response. A proposed guideline has set timelines for addressing complaints, urgent cases within 24 hours, highly urgent cases within 3 days, priority complaints within 7 days, and general complaints within 15 days. The Prime Minister's office says complaints increased significantly in recent years, highlighting the need for a stronger and more responsive grievance management system. Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has expanded passport services by opening 2,000 application slots daily and operating services in 2 shifts, including holidays to reduce delays. At a regular briefing in Singhadarwar, the ministry said more than 25,000 passports have already been printed through the new system, with emergency applicants receiving same-day service. Passport services are currently available through 77 districts, 13 administrative regions, and 33 Nepali diplomatic missions abroad. The ministry also said 860 Nepalis have been rescued from online scam centers in Southeast Asia, while efforts are underway to release and repatriate 18 Nepali citizens held in Myanmar. It added that Nepal has launched the Nepal e-authentication system, or NEATS, to make consular services more digital and convenient. Government of Nepal ultimately aims to replace all state-issued identification cards except passport with the national identity card. Without an ID or number, you cannot even apply for certain services like passport. But the system itself has become ill, with the authorities citing technical issue in upgrading the system. Upcoming story explains more. Most of the services of Nepal government are undergoing either upgrade or system change, and national identity card is one of them. The NID system is undergoing upgrade for more secured and robust cards. The Department of National ID and Civil Registrations says that although some technical issues have emerged in the card issuance process, services are continuing. For the past few weeks, applicants have been experiencing difficulties in obtaining national identity cards due to technical problems. According to the department, the issue lies in the final verification stage of the application process, causing temporary inconvenience to service seekers. However, it claims that all applicants are still being issued a national identity number (NIN), meaning there has been no disruption to services that require the identification number. The department says work is underway to resolve the technical problems and all services are expected to return to normal within the next few days.
प्राविधिक रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले यसलाई झन् सक्षम बनाउनको लागि झन् प्रभावकारी बनाउनको लागि चाहिँ हामीले काम गर्दै छौं। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि थोरै चाहिँ हिजोका दिनमा भन्दा आज केही दिन यता चाहिँ त्यो एप्रुभमा चाहिँ व्यक्तिको निन नम्बर एप्रुभ भएर सिस्टमको जताततै देखिन्छ नि त्यो सिस्टममा चाहिँ थोरै डाउनसाइजिङ भएको छ।
However, service seekers complain that despite the department accepting applications, they have had to endure various hassles and have not received their national identity cards on time.
हाम्रो अब नयाँ सरकार फेरिसकेपछि चाहिँ अब हाम्रो जनताहरुको लागि सेवाको लागि बनिरहेको हो नि त, त्यसको लागि चाहिँ किनकि हाम्रो जनताको लागि चाहिँ कि अलि छिटो गर्दिने काम अब बनेको टाइममा गर्दिने त्यति भयो जस्तो राम्रो लाग्छ मलाई।
एउटा धेरै ढिलो भयो। सरकारलाई म यति अनुरोध गर्दै छु, यसलाई छिटो भन्दा छिटो चाँडै कोसिस गर्नु, सुधार गर्नु, जनतालाई दुःख नहोस्।
The government is preparing to integrate the national identity card with all government services. It has already linked the card with services including passports, foreign employment, social security, and the office of the company registrar. The national identity card is also now mandatory for services such as land and property transactions, revenue-related services, telecommunications, banking, and other financial services. According to the department, it has so far issued national identity numbers to 20.17 million people and distributed national identity cards to 4 million Nepalis. It has been more than 20 days since the driving license systems across the country has come to a standstill. Since 17 of July, citing technical problems and inadequate preparation during the rollout of a new digital licensing system, all services have been closed. Despite repeated postponement of the launch of the new system, the Department of Transport Management is still unclear when the services will resume. We bring you more in this story. Some of the regular state-rendered services, including driving license, have come to a halt across the country for more than 20 days now. Digital server migration and upgrading the system have been cited as the reason, but the prolonged delay in resuming the services have started bothering the general public. Department of Transport Management issuing a public notice halted the services on July 17, saying a new digital licensing system is being installed. Though the initial disruption was expected to last not more than a week, the prolonged delay has affected service seekers. People are facing difficulties in registering new applications, obtaining new license, and renewing existing ones. The only active service at the moment is the distribution of printed licenses under the previous system. Despite the department's announcement that services would be available through the new online system, applicants have been forced to visit transport offices in person only to return without receiving the required services.
बदलिएको नियमअनुसार काम हुनुपर्ने हो, त्यो काम भएको जस्तो चाहिँ लागेन। त्यो प्राविधिकहरुको अब समस्या होला, प्राविधिक कुराहरु नमिलेको होला, तर अब नमिलेको होला भनेर चाहिँ नि सेवाग्राहीले त सन्तोष लिने कुरा त भएन, सेवा त चाहिँ दिनु पर्यो।
According to the department, the online system is at the final stage of implementation, but persistent technical issues have delayed its operation. The department discontinued the previous license application system on 16 July 2026 and planned to launch a new technology-based electronic driving license and vehicle registration system in all 7 provinces from 17 July 2026. However, the launch was repeatedly postponed to 20 July, 24 July, and 27 July 2026 after repeated failure of the system. Despite these extensions, the new platform has yet to function fully, leaving uncertainty over when services will resume.
प्रणाली नै सुरु भएको छैन, फर्मलाइज भएको छैन। उहाँहरूले ट्रायल पासको रसिद पनि काटेर आएको, रसिद पनि जेनेरेट गरेर आउनुभयो। ट्रायलै सुरु भएको छैन। त्यस्तो त्रुटिहरू छ। ती त्रुटिहरू चाहिँ सल्भ नगर्दासम्म त्यो अलिकति समस्या हुन्छ भनेर चाहिँ मन्त्रालय र विभागलाई राख्नु भएको छ। नयाँ प्रणाली हो, अब सुरुवात भइसकेपछि त आउने नै भयो, केही त्रुटिहरू आउँछ हैन, गर्दै कहाँनिर मिस्टेक हुन्छ त्यो सल्भ गर्दै जाने विषय एउटा रह्यो। तर के भन्दाखेरि मिनिमम चाहिँ यो ठिक छ भनेर चाहिँ भन्नुभयो भने हामीले चिठी दिएर यो गर भनेर भन्नुभयो भने हामी सेवा दिन हामी आतुर छौँ।
Among those most affected by the prolonged delay are the ones preparing to travel for foreign employment or higher studies. That's the perspective for this week. We'll bring more updates next week. Stay tuned to NTV World.
Nepal is a cultural, religious and a natural heaven for tourists with various adventurous attractions on offer. Nepal is undoubtedly one of the best tourism destinations in the world. Numerous UNESCO World Heritage Sites and conservation areas are some of the major attractions for tourists in Nepal. In addition, the natural, cultural and religious uniqueness of the country has been drawing large number of foreign tourists. Every place on earth has its own geography, cultural identity, environment, food and lifestyle. They collectively become the identity of the place. Especially the places attracting tourists got to have their own diversity and uniqueness. Madhya Province is one such place with its unique cultural identity and geography. These are some of the major tourism destinations of Province 2, which draw hundreds of thousands of tourists every year. The Janaki Temple. The Janaki Temple, in the birthplace of Sita, the better half of Lord Rama, is a pious place for Hindus. The famous temple in itself is an epitome of ancient Mithila art and culture. The temple, built in Mughal architecture, is believed to have been built by the then Princess of Tikamani of Madhya Pradesh in India by spending over 900,000 silver coins, a whopping sum at that time. Thus, the temple is also known as Naulakha Temple. The construction of the temple took almost 17 years, from 1894 to 1911. The Janaki Temple is the pride of the Mithila and a cultural heritage. All rituals from birth to death are conducted as per Mithila culture in this place. Major religious fairs take place annually in Janakpur Dham, including on Ram Navami, the birthday of Lord Rama, full moon day of Nepali month of Asuz, Kozagrat Purnima, Vivaha Panchami, and famous Jhula in Fagun. This massive temple is not just a heritage for Nepalese, but for all the Hindus across the world. Janaki Temple stands out as the place drawing most number of tourists in Madhya province every year. Chinnamasta. The revered Chinnamasta shrine is at Sakhara village towards the southern border of Chinnamasta from Saptari's district headquarters Rajviras. Chinnamasta is one of the revered shrines known for fulfilling worshippers' wishes. The shrine is about 10 kilometers drive from Rajviras. Large number of devotees throngs the deity's shrine in Dasai festival. Of the religious tourists here are either domestic or from India. The history of Chinnamasta deity's shrine, with immense religious tourism potential, is connected to the history of Simrongarh. Parsa National Park. The Parsa National Park along the border of Parsa, Bara and Makwanpur districts is the youngest national park in the country. The earlier wildlife reserve has been transformed now into a national park. Parsa National Park is a perfect destination for those tourists interested in wildlife. The national park is well known for the local wild elephants. Parsa National Park is home to some exotic wild animals, including the Barasingha, blue bulls, and the Bengal tigers. Likewise, birds including very rare spiny babbler, cranes, and reptiles like pythons are found here. The number of domestic as well as foreign tourists visiting the national park has increased after development of tourism infrastructures in the area. One can reach Parsa National Park in around 6 hours drive from Kathmandu. Spread across Chitwan, Makwanpur and Parsa districts, the Parsa National Park is home to some endangered wild animals and birds. The major attractions here are Bengal tiger, one-horned rhinos, wild elephants, leopards, Gor bison or the Gorigai, among others. Dhanusadham. The Dhanus temple at Dhanusadham municipality of Dhanusa district is an important tourism destination of Madhya province. Mythological belief says this is the very place where Lord Rama had broken the bow of Lord Shiva to win the hand of goddess Sita. It is believed that the Pinak bow of Lord Shiva broke into 3 pieces when Lord Rama tried to fix the string on it. According to the famous Hindu scripture Ramayana, one of the pieces went to the sky, another went to the netherworld, and one dropped on earth here at Dhanusadham. The Dhanus temple is just 15 kilometers drive from the Janakpur Dham. The name of the place has been derived as Dhanusadham from the legend of Ramayana and also the district known as Dhanusa. As per popular belief, the one who sees the piece of bow will be eternally blessed. Birganj is Nepal's major business center. Not just known for trade and commerce, Birganj of Parsa district also draws a lot of tourists. Gararwa Pond, Sankaracharya Gate, Ghantaghar are some of the other engagements for tourists in Birganj. Gariharwa Pond, the site of offering prayers to the sun god, is a sight to behold during Chhath festival. There is a temple of sun god in the middle of the pond. Gadimai. Gadimai is a revered shrine of deity at Bara district, known around the world for massive animal sacrifice every 5 years. The month-long religious fair takes place every 5 years. Gadimai is just around 8 kilometers drive from Kalaya, the district headquarters of Bara. Jaleshwar Mahadev. The only temple in the world in Maltari district housing Mahashivalinga underwater, center of faith of the Hindus, the gateway to Mithila. The attractions here are the Mahashivalinga, the cave in the temple, and the annual fair on Sivaratri. One can reach here by easy road travel from Kathmandu to Jaleshwar. One can reach the Salahis Garden just 3 kilometers ride from Lahan Bazar or Lahan municipality in Siraha district. Every tourism destination in Madhya province has its own speciality. Almost all these destinations are awaiting promotion, at the same time developing necessary infrastructure to promote tourism here has its own challenges. Tourism could be the road to prosperity for province too, if only the government pays little more attention in developing and promoting potential destinations. Compared to some other provinces, it has much higher tourism potential. Upgrading the dilapidated roads and highways is important, in addition to operating regular air services. The province and ultimately the country can reap the benefits of tourism if only the slogan of "guests are gods" can be better implemented.
The gorgeous temple of Chango Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Chango Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Chango Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Chango Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Chango Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Chango had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichango inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichevi period, Chango Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Chango inscription also mention it as Changu or Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Chango Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Chango Narayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Nepal government declares 4 killed during incidents in Sunsari and Siraha as martyrs. Also decides to make NCL share deal probe report public. Nearly 150 billion rupees in government accounts remains unaudited as financial records destroyed during Gen Z protests. Nepal government moves to revive textile industries. Cotton farming, however, on a decline in key production districts. Syria sentences its ousted leader to death in absentia. Assad, currently in Moscow, sentenced over killings and torture. Colombia declares state of emergency after 132 killed in 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Rescuers race to find survivors. And NSC board meeting after an 8-month gap. 9 agendas including 10th National Games and NFA's suspension finalized. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. The Nepal government has decided to declare 4 individuals killed during protests in Sunsari and Siraha districts as martyrs. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports, Sashmit Pokhrel, said the cabinet meeting has declared Om Prakash Mehta, Jay Prakash Mehta and Rabindra Kumar Mehta of Sunsari and Ganesh Kumar Yadav of Siraha as martyrs. Minister Pokhrel added the cabinet also decided to publish the report of the study and investigation committee on the purchase and sale of NCL shares formed under the coordination of former Auditor General Tankamani Sharma.
नेपाल भित्र पैठारी वा उत्पादन हुने विद्युतबाट सञ्चालित एम्बुलेन्स र सब वाहनमा लाग्ने स्वच्छ पूर्वाधार लगानी शुल्क र मूल्य अभिवृद्धि करमा पूर्ण रूपमा छुट प्रदान गर्ने, गृह मन्त्रालयबाट सुनसरी सिराहा जिल्लामा भएको प्रदर्शनको क्रममा मृत्यु भएका मृतक व्यक्तिहरू सुनसरी जिल्लाका ओम प्रकाश मेहता, जय प्रकाश मेहता, रविन्द्र कुमार मेहता र सिराहा जिल्लाका गणेश कुमार यादवलाई शहीद घोषणा गर्ने, परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालयबाट पोर्चुगल सरकारलाई काठमाडौँमा काउन्सिलर अफिस खोल्न सहमति दिने, अर्को युवा श्रम तथा रोजगार मन्त्रालयबाट वैदेशिक रोजगार बोर्डको कार्यकारी निर्देशक पदमा श्री निर्मल कुमार उप्रेती 12लाई नियुक्ति गर्ने र अन्त्यमा पूर्व महालेखा परीक्षक श्री टङ्कमणी शर्मा दङ्गालको संयोजकत्वमा गठित एनसेलको शेयर खरिद बिक्री सम्बन्धी अध्ययन तथा छानबिन प्रतिवेदन 2080 सार्वजनिक गर्ने।
Nearly 150 billion rupees worth of Nepal government's accounts remain unaudited after financial records were destroyed during last September's Zenzi protests. The Office of the Auditor General said it could not audit 179 government offices during previous fiscal year, including the President's Office, Supreme Court, Prime Minister's Office and several ministries. The destruction of records has created legal and procedural challenges as government offices are required to submit financial records for audit. The Auditor General's 63rd annual report has recommended assessing destroyed records and government property and recommending write-offs where appropriate. We'll bring you an in-depth report on this later in the bulletin. Now, the Nepal government is preparing to revive industries that have remained shut for years, with Hetauda textile industry already beginning trial production and plans underway to reopen the Butwal spinning mill. As domestic textile and yarn production gets a fresh push, cotton remains the key raw material. However, farmers in Bake, Bardia and Dang say the government's decision to dissolve the Cotton Development Committee in Khajura, Bake has disrupted cotton farming in the region. Farmers say they have been unable to obtain cotton seeds and have been forced to leave their land uncultivated. Once known for cotton farming, Bardia has seen a steady decline in cotton production, with many farmers switching to other crops. We'll take a deeper look into this in our segment Issue of the Day later in the bulletin. Moving on, a Syrian court has sentenced ousted leader Bashar al-Assad to death in absentia after convicting him for committing war crimes and crimes against humanity during the country's civil war. It is the first conviction against Assad, who fled from Damascus to Moscow with his family after his regime was overthrown in December 2024, ending his family's 5-decade grip on power. Assad's cousin and the former head of political security in southern Syria's Dera province, Alif Najib, was also sentenced to death. Syria's interim government has begun trying officials associated with the Assad regime, which ruled the country for more than 50 years earlier this year. Rescue efforts in Western Colombia entered a second day today as emergency workers searched collapsed buildings with fears that the death toll from the country's strongest earthquake in decades could rise further. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake tore through Colombia's coffee-growing heartland early on Monday, killing at least 224 people. Emergency teams aided by police, soldiers and volunteers worked through the night with excavators and, at times, their bare hands hunting for survivors beneath debris. The Colombia government has declared a national disaster, while the world leaders have offered an assistance. Nepal's board of the National Sports Council is set to meet on Thursday, ending an 8-month gap since its last meeting. The board is required to meet at least twice a year, but the prolonged delay has held up several policy and administrative decisions in Nepal's sports sector. 9 agenda items have been prepared for the meeting. Among them are date announcement and preparations for the 10th National Games, FIFA's suspension of the All Nepal Football Association, and recent government and NSC efforts to have the suspension lifted. We'll have a detailed report on the NSC's board scheduled meeting in sports segment later in the bulletin. Now, after the break, the government is moving to revive Nepal's long-shuttered textile industries. But farmers say the push is overlooking the very raw material those factories need. Cotton growers in Bake, Bardia and Dang are struggling for seeds after the Cotton Development Committee was dissolved. What went wrong, and can Nepal revive both its textile mills and its cotton fields after this break? You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Time now for our issue of the day. The Nepal government is moving to revive the Hetauda textile industry. But at the same time, it has decided to shut down the very institution responsible for promoting cotton production to supply the industry. In Western Nepal's districts Bake, Bardia and Dang, the abolition of the Cotton Development Committee has left farmers without seeds, fields lying fallow, and decades-old efforts to protect farmland from wildlife conflict at risk. Sudeksha Rajak with local correspondent Rudra Subedi looks more.
The government wants Hetauda textile industry running again, but it just cut off the crop it feeds it. The Cotton Development Committee in Khajura Bake has been abolished and 3 districts are already paying the price. At a time when there have been demands to encourage cotton cultivation to supply the yarn Hetauda textile industry needs, the government has instead decided to abolish the Cotton Development Committee based in Khajura Bake. With the committee gone, farmers in Bake, Bardia and Dang have been affected. Cotton cultivation, which brings good income and helps reduce human-wildlife conflict, is no longer being carried out. Following the abolition decision, farmers across the 3 districts say they have been forced to leave their land simply because they could not obtain cotton seeds. Cotton farmers argue the committee should not have been abolished in a way that halts cotton cultivation altogether, since cotton farming plays an important role in reducing human-wildlife conflict in areas near forests. Hiralal Chaudhary, technical assistant at the Cotton Development Committee, said the committee was unable to distribute cotton seeds after the abolition decision was taken at exactly the time farmers needed to plant. Former chairperson Hemant Raj Khafle says the committee should not be abolished in a way that destroys cotton cultivation, a crop with considerable potential to become a significant source of income for farmers. Current chairperson Tikaram Sharma says if the government plans to operate Hetauda textile industry and the Butwal yarn factory, it must also preserve cotton production as a source of raw materials. Cotton grown by farmers in Baake, Bardia and Dang does more than raise their income while animals don't touch the crop, making it a natural buffer against human-wildlife conflict in foreign fringe communities. The government wanted to protect an industry. Instead, it may have dismantled the very fields that were meant to feed it and pushed 3 districts worth of farmland toward ruin. Subeksha Rajak with Rudra Subedi, NTV World.
Meanwhile, in neighboring Bardia, a crop that once defined the district is disappearing from its own fields. Cotton, once the signature crop of the Cotton Development Committee's farms, is losing ground to other crops, encroachment and years of neglect. Suveksha Rajak with our local correspondent Homendra Thapa brings more.
The white gold of Bardia is turning to stubble, where cotton once stretched across hundreds of hectares of committee land. Their crops now stand in its place, and with them a century-old identity is fading field by field. Cotton cultivation was once one of the defining identities of Bardia. Hundreds of sharecropping farmers made their living cultivating cotton on land belonging to the Cotton Development Committee. Today, that same land is increasingly planted with other crops. Farmers say cotton farming demands heavy labor. Pest infestation is high in areas surrounded by forest, and the income no longer matches the cost of production, and labor making cotton, once profitable, increasingly unviable. The link between farmers and the committee itself was also broken, its physical infrastructure destroyed during the armed conflict and never fully rebuilt.
कपाल विकास समितिसित जोइन थियौं त्यति वर्षसम्म त्यहाँसम्म करारको हिसाबले जे जति तिर्नु पर्थ्यो सरकारलाई त्यो तिरिराखेको थियो अनि द्वन्द्वकालमा यो भौतिक संरचनासम्म ध्वस्त भइसकेपछि कपाल विकास समितिको र किसानहरूको सम्बन्ध विच्छेद भयो त्यो विच्छेद पश्चात हामी किसानहरू यो जग्गाको संरक्षण गर्दै खेती गरिरहेछौं
यो कपास विकासको जग्गा म 2 बिघा 2045 सालदेखि म जोड्दैछु छु.
Sharecropping farmers who have traditionally grown cotton continue to occupy and cultivate committee land. In some areas, landless squatters and unorganized settlers have also moved onto the land. According to Bir Bahadur Tharu, ward chairperson of Bhadaiyatal Rural Municipality 9, applications have been registered under landless Dalit, landless squatter and unorganized settler categories based on possession and cultivation. Land measurement and mapping certificates have already been distributed.
उहाँहरूलाई यो ठाउँमा जग्गा जुन जोड्नु भएको छ त्यो जोटेको आधारले नेपाल सरकारले खोलेको भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी अव्यवस्थित बसोबासी र दलित भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी भनेर जुन 3 प्रकारको सूचना खोलेको थियो त्यस मध्येमा उहाँहरूले अव्यवस्थित र भूमिहीन सुकुम्बासी र भूमिहीन दलित भनेर भर्नु भएको छ त्यो मध्येमा हामी चाहिँ निवेदनको ढाँचा अनुरूप निस्सा प्रमाण चाहिँ हामीले उहाँहरूलाई वितरण गरेका छौं र त्यो जग्गा हालसम्म नै अहिलेसम्म किसान शेरजोताहरूकै परिवारले चाहिँ जोडभोग गरिराखेको छ.
Committee land has been encroached upon under various pretexts. Around 558 hectares of land at the cotton farm in Kumbhar spanning Barwadia Municipality 10 and Badhaiyatal Rural Municipality 9 was encroached upon in 2001-2002 AD. Of that land, the government has already distributed 93.7 hectares to freed Kamayas. The Cotton Development Committee says its land is spread across 3 local levels in Bardia, but encroachment combined with the prolonged failure to cultivate cotton is steadily eroding the farm's original purpose. The numbers tells their own story. The committee once recorded 378 sharecropping farmers. That number has now crossed 1700 even as the crop they were meant to grow keeps disappearing from the ground beneath them. More farmers less cotton. What was once Bardia's defining crop now risks becoming nothing more than a line in its history books. Sueksha Rajak Voice with local correspondent Homendra Thapa, NTV World.
And in this context, we spoke to farmers in Bankia and Bardia involved in cotton farming to understand the challenges they face as cotton cultivation continues to decline. Here's what they had to say.
हजुर कपास खेती छोडेको कारण यही हो कपास उब्जाउन नसक्ने त्यो हुँदै नहुने अनि मल खाद औषधि भयो त्यहाँ समितिले दिन्थ्यो त्यो पनि हाम्रै नामबाट कथ्यो त्यो औषधिहरू मलहरू अनि त्यसपछि त्यो नभएर त्यसपछि अब समिति पनि टुट्यो अनि त्यसपछि हामीले धान खेती गर्न सुरु गर्यौं
कपास विकास समितिको अगुवाईमा सबै किसानहरूले कपास लगाउँथे अनि 2058 सालमा कपास विकास समिति उठिसकेपछि बाँकी यहाँ भएको ठाउँमा मुक्त कमाइहरूलाई बसाल्यो र शेयर फार्मको मतलब कपास विकास समितिले जो आफूले लगाउँथ्यो त्यो जग्गा भरिमा कमाइ मुक्तिहरू बसे बाँकी शेयर फार्ममा शेयरहरूले मतलब किसानहरूले जोति खाने जग्गा थियो आफूले कपास लगाउँथे त्यो कपास लगाउने ठाउँमा अहिले जति जति आफ्नो आफ्नो नामलाई मतलब कपास विकास समितिले दिएको थियो तल यति जोत उले उति जोत भनेर त्यति आफ्नो आफ्नो कब्जा गरेर आफूले अहिले धान लगाउन लाग्यो
कपास खेती गर्न बहुत गाह्रो छ सर हामी त्यो दवाई छर्दै हाम्रो यहाँ ठेला परेको थियो टंकी बोकेको बहुत मेहनत खेती हो त्यो
46 सालबाट कपास खेती गरेको अनि पछि 57-58 सालदेखि कपास भएन
कुलो नभएको अब कपास कहाँ हुन्छ अब धान रोप्ने धान हुन्छ पहिले खेती गरे कपासको त्यही कारणले नभएर दबाई छर्न पर्यो झार काट्न पर्यो त्यो मेहनत गर्न पर्ने हो छोरीछोरालाई लिएर बोकेर आउनु पर्यो कपास फार्ममा खोल मात्रै छोरीछोरालाई बसाएर काट्न पर्यो
कृषकले किसानीले गर्ने खेती भनेको कपास रहेछ म विगत 8-10 वर्षदेखि म लगातार यसमा छु
कपासको बारेमा जो सरकारले अहिले खारिज गर्ने जो नीति ल्याछ यसको लागि धेरै नराम्रो नीति हो यो हामी कृषकहरूको लागि एकदम उत्साहित गर्न लास्टिङ गर्न खोजिरहेको छ सरकारले यो चाहिँ धेरै नराम्रो हो
यो कपास विकासले कृषकदेखि लिएर सबैको रोजगार सिर्जना गरेको थियो र अहिले सरकारले यो कपास विकासको खारेज भनेको छ सबैको रोजगार गुमेको छ रोजगार
Now, a company that was established solely to produce drugs and medicines could not even produce a tablet for years. But with government intervention, adequate budget allocation and managerial reforms, the company has made a profit in millions within a year's time. How did the government-owned Nepal Drug Limited start generating profit from being unable to even pay the salary of the employees? Sabika Shrestha brings Kamala Aryal's report.
After almost 25 years, a government entity established to produce drugs and medicines has been revived to a profit-making institution. The government-owned Nepal Drug Limited is in the spotlight after making a profit of over 30 million rupees in the last fiscal year, having previously been profitable in 2001. Though the profit amount in itself is not worth discussing, but the revival of an ailing state institution that was marred for decades by mismanagement and politicization definitely is. Under the current government's 100-point governance reform program, target of producing 98 types of free medicines through Nepal Drug Limited within 3 years was set. Accordingly, the company plans to produce 37 types of medicines within the next 2 to 3 months and eventually expand production to 98 types. However, the company did not make this profit solely from the sale of medicines. It earned profits by renting out its buildings and after deducting management and operating expenses. Similarly, the company has raw materials worth around 15 million rupees in stock. Established in 2001, the company sold medicines worth around 120 million rupees in the first year, after which it never saw profit.
The attempt to revive the company started in 2016 with then Minister for Industry Navindra Raj Joshi allocating 50 million rupees in 2016. But extreme politicization of the company and massive backlog of mismanagement was the main hurdle then. The actual revival started with the company implemented the World Health Organization WHO's good manufacturing practices standards last year. This has contributed to an increase in production as well as an improvement in profits.
हाम्रो आम्दानीको स्रोत भने दुईटा छ। अहिले चाहिँ एउटा आम्दानीको स्रोत मुख्य आम्दानीको स्रोत भनेको औषधि बिक्री नै हो र दोस्रो भनेको थोरै चाहिँ हामीसँग युज नभएको केही स्पेसहरू हामीले चाहिँ सरकारी कार्यालयलाई भाडामा दिएर केही आम्दानी त्यहाँबाट पनि हुन्छ। दोस्रो चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण विषय भने खर्च कटौती हो। हामीले ओभरटाइमका विषयहरू ओभर स्टाफिङका विषयहरू सबै कटौती गर्दाखेरि त्यहाँबाट रकम भएको र अर्को मैले भन्नै पर्ने विषय भने हामी चाहिँ सुरुदेखि नै G2G मा फोकस थियौँ। एउटा सरकारी निकायले अर्को सरकारी निकायसँग सोझै खरिद गर्न पाउने व्यवस्था छ खरिद ऐनमा। त्यसै व्यवस्थालाई टिकेर हामीले चाहिँ प्राइभेट सेक्टरबाट गभर्नमेन्ट सेक्टरमा बढी फोकस गर्यौं र अहिले हामी 90% G2G मा बेचिराखेका छौं।
The company currently produces 320,000 tablets of paracetamol every day and 48,000 units of oral rehydration solution daily. The company has been unable to operate at full capacity due to financial and human resource constraints. With the government allocating a budget of 240 million rupees this year, the company plans to increase production by adding human resource as well as equipment. Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
Locals and former workers have welcomed the Nepal government's decision to form a task force to study the operation, financial condition and physical infrastructure of the historic Biratnagar jute mill. The task force will assess the mill's physical infrastructure, machinery, assets and liabilities and examine whether the industry can be brought back into operation. The mill has remained shut for years and locals say their main concern is not immediate reopening but protecting its physical assets and machinery from further deterioration and theft. Locals have alleged that more than 2 bighas of the mill's land were sold following its closure, allegedly in collusion with the mill administration, and have demanded an investigation. If reopening is not feasible, they have suggested establishing other industries on the site to create employment for around 5,000 workers. That wraps up our issue of the day. Now, in Nepal, an age-old tradition comes alive even in the heart of the federal capital. Every year, communities gather to burn an effigy believed to drive away evil spirits and ghosts. The story behind Ghanta Karna or Gote Mangal in our cover story segment after this break. You're watching NTV World News Hour with me, Sarah Sapsanamarai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. Communities in Kathmandu Valley and other parts of Nepal observed Ghanta Karna, also known as Gote Mangal, a centuries-old Newar festival associated with warding off evil spirits. The festival, which falls around mid-August, is marked by the burning of effigies representing evil forces. Here's our special coverage.
In the Kathmandu Valley, the Ghanta Karna festival, known locally as Gote Mangal, carries echoes of Nepal's ancient past. Its roots reach back to the Lichavi period around the 4th to 9th century, when early chronicles first recorded rituals of cleansing and protection against malevolent forces. The festival's myth centers on Ghanta Karna, a fierce demon whose name means bell-eared. Legends describe him as a three-legged terror who wore bells to drown out the sacred name of Lord Shiva. His reign of fear ended when villagers guided by divine intervention defeated him, a victory that came to symbolize the triumph of good over evil.
Each year on this very day, communities recreate this ancient drama. Effigies of the demon, woven from straw and bamboo, rise at crossroads, reminders of the chaos once feared. As dusk falls, these effigies are dragged through the streets and burned, their flames marking the purification of the valley. Historical allusions link Khantakarna's defeat to the seasonal transition between monsoon and harvest, when disease and misfortune were believed to peak. The rituals, cleansing homes, burning incense, and hanging iron charms reflect both spiritual and practical protection. For the Newar people, Khantakarna is not just myth but memory, a living tradition that binds the valley's history, faith, and folklore. As the effigy burns, it rekindles a story told for over a millennium, the enduring power of community to overcome darkness.
Khantakarna is also celebrated in Nepal's Dailekh district as a traditional monsoon festival, a practice that has continued for nearly 250 years. The month-long festival is regarded as one of the district's oldest cultural traditions. It began early in the morning with the preparation of a three-legged structure made of sacred leaves and the installation of Khantakarna. Various traditional processions and performances are held throughout the month, including Lakhe Jatra, Ropai Jatra, Gai Jatra, Jogi Jatra, and also Bagh Jatra. In other cultural celebration observed today, Tote Festival was observed in western Nepal's Kaski district with cultural festivities held across Gurung-dominated settlements in Gandaki province. The festival is celebrated annually on the last Tuesday of the Nepali month of Shravan and Chaitra. It holds deep cultural and historical significance for the Gurung community. Several local levels in the province declared a public holiday to mark the occasion. According to tradition, the festival symbolizes the practice of driving away enemies and hostile forces beyond the boundaries of the settlement to protect the community and ensure its well-being. That wraps up our cover story of the day. Now on to other updates. House of Representatives lawmakers have demanded Prime Minister's statements on border issues be corrected with the removal of the earlier recorded statements from the Parliament's archives. As today's session of the lower house commenced, lawmakers from the opposition parties stood from their respective seats in protest, calling for deleting the Prime Minister's statement on border matters. Bharat Kumar Swar of Nepali Congress, Chandeshwar Mandal of CPN-UML, Bharat Giri of Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, Gopal Sharma of Nepali Communist Party were among those putting their views on the matter. The Speaker allowed them time to put their views on the basis of party representations. The lawmakers argued that Prime Minister's statement given before the Parliament on May 31st has yet to be clarified and corrected, including its withdrawal from the Parliament's records. Now, financial records from 179 government offices of Nepal have been destroyed or lost, leaving their transactions unaudited for the 2024-25 fiscal year. The Auditor General says the records were lost during last year's Gen Z-led protests, raising concerns over accountability and financial oversight. Aprila Khising Lama, along with local correspondent Saloja Dahal, reports.
Nearly 150 billion Nepali rupees in government transactions could not be audited after official records were destroyed in fire during last year's Gen Z-led protests. The Office of the Auditor General says financial records from 179 government offices were either destroyed or could not be recovered, making it impossible to complete audits for the 2024-25 fiscal year. The affected offices include the President's Office, the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, the Supreme Court, the Public Service Commission, and the Office of the Gandaki Province Chief. Several ministries inside Singhadarbar, Nepal's main government administrative complex, were also affected, along with government offices across all 7 provinces and local levels. Under Nepal's Financial Procedures and Fiscal Responsibility Act, government offices are required to maintain records of their income, expenditure, and other financial transactions and submit them for audit. However, the law does not clearly specify how audits should proceed when records are destroyed in circumstances such as arson or other emergencies.
तपाईको मन्त्रालयको यो निकायको चाहिँ हामीले अलिक गरेका छैनौँ भनेपछि त्यो मन्त्रालयले मेरो पनि आशा के थियो भने त्यो मन्त्रालय समिति गठन गर्दा आफै फिल्डमा जाला त्यसको के एनालाइसिस गर्ला कति त्यसबाट के हुन्छ डाटा कलेक्सन गर्न सकिन्छ प्रमाण कलेक्सन त्यो हेर्ला र यतिकै सकिएर मान्ला भन्ने थियो त्योभन्दा पहिले के भने समितिमा छलफल भइहाल्यो त्यसमा त्यसो गर्न सकिन्छ कि भन्ने कुरा हो अब ऐन बनाएर भन्नुभएको छ त्यसमा त मेरो भन्नु केही छैन तर खालि एउटा मात्रै कुरा के हो भने अब भूतपूर्व ऐन बनाएर काम चाहिँ गर्दैन भन्ने चाहिँ
The Auditor General's 63rd Annual Report has recommended assessing government property, financial records, and documents destroyed by natural disasters or accidents, and recommending appropriate write-offs where necessary. Members of the Public Accounts Committee have called for established practices to be followed in dealing with the exceptional situation. They have also stressed the need to move government financial records to fully digital systems to prevent similar problems in the future. Finance Minister Dr. Sonim Wagli said the protests created an extraordinary situation and that the government would reconstruct missing information using secondary data where original records are unavailable.
डिजिटाइज पनि गर्नु पर्यो डिजिटलाइज पनि गर्नु पर्यो दुईटै विधिबाट हैन कागजहरुलाई तुरुन्तै चाहिँ यसको डिजिटाइज्ड फर्ममा गर्ने तर त्यो सम्पूर्ण संयन्त्रलाई क्यारी गर्नको लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो डिजिटलाइजेसनको बाटो.
The Auditor General and lawmakers said the government must establish a clear mechanism for determining public income and expenditure where original records have been lost while ensuring accountability and preventing financial irregularities.
3 children have gone missing while swimming in the local Lal Bakaya River in Rohtahat in southern Nepal. The police say the children disappeared while bathing and swimming in the river. A search operation is underway, but they have not yet been found. Security personnel and local residents, meanwhile, are continuing efforts to locate the missing children. International news lined up next, but before that, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal government declares 4 killed during incidents in Sunsari and Siraha as martyrs. Also decides to make NCL share deal probe report public. Nearly 150 billion rupees in government accounts remains unaudited as financial records destroyed during Zenzi protests. Nepal government moves to revive textile industries. Cotton farming, however, on a decline in key production districts. Syria sentences its ousted leader to death in absentia. Assad, currently in Moscow, sentenced over killings and torture. Colombia declares state of emergency as more than 200 killed in a 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Rescuers race to find survivors. And NSC's board meeting after an 8-month gap, 9 agendas including 10th National Games and NFA suspension finalized. Ukraine and Russia have continued striking each other overnight, with Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Moscow of using North Korean missiles. The Ukrainian president said strikes in Zaporizhia, which killed at least 6 and injured at least 19, involved ballistic missiles from Russia's ally. In Voronezh, in southern Russia, warehouses belonging to the online retailer Wild Berries were hit by Ukraine. The UN's independent investigative mechanism for Myanmar has reported an escalation in Myanmar military airstrikes against civilians, saying the conflict continues to intensify. The head of the UN body told a press briefing in Geneva that schools and hospitals were among the sites being targeted, while children often among the victims. The UN body also warned that the continued airstrikes are worsening the humanitarian crisis and causing mounting civilian casualties. Japan's space agency JAXA successfully launched its flagship H3 rocket from the Tanegashima Space Center, carrying the Michibiki 7 navigation satellite. The satellite is part of Japan's quasi-zenith satellite system designed to strengthen the country's domestic positioning and navigation capabilities. The launch comes as Japan seeks to improve international competitiveness and reliability of its commercial rocket industry. The H3 program suffered a setback after an earlier mission failed to place a satellite into orbit, but a subsequent launch in June was successful. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
Global oil prices climbed on Tuesday as U.S.-Iran negotiations over a peace deal and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz hit an impasse. Brent crude rose to $88.09 a barrel, while U.S. crude reached $82.52, both at their highest since July 31st. Asian markets remained mixed amid concerns over higher energy costs and global inflation. Investors are now watching U.S. inflation data for clues on the Federal Reserve's next interest rate move. A U.S. judge has dismissed criminal charges against Indian billionaire Gautam Adani, bringing a high-profile bribery and fraud case against one of India's richest businessmen to an end. In 2024, Adani was accused of allegedly paying bribes to Indian officials for high-profile renewable energy projects and misleading U.S. investors about it. Adani and his companies have consistently denied wrongdoing. However, the judge strongly criticized the way decision was reached.
And with that, we move on to sports update. The board of Nepal's National Sports Council is set to meet this Thursday. The board is required to meet at least twice a year, but the prolonged gap has stalled several policy and structural decisions in the sports sector. April Agising Lama, along with Samriddhi Karki, brings more.
The board of Nepal's National Sports Council is set to meet on Thursday, nearly 9 months after its previous meeting. The board is required to meet at least twice a year. However, the prolonged gap has delayed several policies, administrative and structural decisions in the sports sector. The meeting comes at a time when Nepal's sports sector is facing uncertainty over the 10th National Games. The national football team has also been unable to compete in international tournaments following FIFA's action against the All Nepal Football Association, while the National Football League has remained stalled for an extended period. According to National Sports Council member Secretary Ramcharitra Mehta, 9 agenda items have been prepared for Thursday's meeting.
केही प्रायोरिटीका प्रोजेक्टहरूको विषयमा कार्यक्रमको विषयमा हामीले कुराकानी छलफल गरेर निर्णय गर्नेछौँ जसमध्ये भनौँ एउटा यो 20औं एसियालीको सहभागिताको सम्बन्धमा स्वीकृति नेपाल सरकार समक्ष पठाउने अर्को भनेको हाम्रो यो भर्खर यो मङ्सिर महिनामा लगभग हुने निश्चित भएको 10औं राष्ट्रिय खेलकुद प्रतियोगिताको विषयमा छलफल हुनेछ।
The tournament has been postponed 3 times due to budget constraints, water and accommodation problems at the main venue in Surkhet, and the Karnali provincial government's inability to take ownership of the event. The meeting will also discuss recent efforts by the government and the National Sports Council to have FIFA's suspension of ANFA lifted. The board will further decide on the sports to be included, as well as the athletes and officials who will represent Nepal at the 20th Asian Games.
यो बीचमा चाहिँ एन्फासँग भएको गतिविधिहरू सरकारले गरेको निर्णयहरू बारेमा सबै समितिका सदस्यहरूलाई जानकारी गराउनु पर्नेछ र त्यहाँबाट केही नयाँ छलफलहरू पनि सुरुवात हुनेछन् गर्नुपर्ने होला हैन र निलम्बनलाई अब कसरी फुकुवा गर्ने के गर्ने यी यावत विषयमा छलफल हुन्छ.
The National Sports Council has said Nepal's e-sports team, despite qualifying for the Asian Games, was left out because the concerned association failed to include the team in its long list. The meeting will also consider procedures for grassroots sports programs and the renewal of sports associations. The decisions are expected to determine the way forward on several long pending issues in Nepal's sports sector.
US President Donald Trump says it would be a terrible mistake if, under pressure, FIFA President Gianni Infantino was ousted from his position. Trump's backing followed UEFA, CONCACAF and the Asian Football Confederation issuing an open letter accusing Infantino of breaking trust through deception with his aborted FIFA Forward Enterprise proposal. FFE would have meant a new company being created to manage commercial and ticketing rights of all FIFA competitions, including World Cups, with 21% sold off to a private investment company. Trump's comments mark the first time he has come out in defense of Infantino since the FFE plans came to light on 28 July. The 2026 World Cup was co-hosted by the US, Canada and Mexico this summer. And now to the weather updates, first from Nepal and then around the world. Before wrapping up, here's a quick reminder of the top stories this hour. Nepal government declares 4 killed during incidents in Sunsari and Siraha as martyrs. Also decides to make NCL share deal probe report public. Nearly 150 billion rupees in government accounts remain unaudited as financial records destroyed during Zenzi protests. Nepal government moves to revive textile industries. Cotton farming, however, on a decline in key production districts. Syria sentences its ousted leader to death in absentia. Assad, currently in Moscow, sentenced over killings and torture. Colombia declares state of emergency as more than 200 killed in a 7.4 magnitude earthquake. Rescuers race to find survivors. And NSC's board meeting after an 8-month gap. 9 agendas including 10th National Games and NFA suspension finalized. That's it for this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media pages and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.